Peace, 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 everyone. Shout outs to y'all from South America. Yeah, definitely taking that South American trip. Oh, yeah, some good stuff, good stuff. Peace and quiet, all on my own right now. Dr. Bass, it's a pleasure to be with you again. How's it going, brother?
Oh yeah, it's been going good. Just staying positive, eliminating negative energy, and we already know we're going up after this.
Very good, very good. Um, today's topic, today's topic, since we usually tend to talk about more than one topic, I think we're gonna dive back a little bit into sexuality and how actually it's the oneness of the masculine electric and the divine feminine magnetic. It's that oneness, that unity that religions so like to talk about. That like when they say, oh, the church, what they usually depict, like for example in Christianity, they depict the church as a woman, and God, of course, is supposed to be the man. So you got that divine union, that marriage. I mean, the Bible itself is chock filled with sexual references and whatnot. But then again, those who don't dive deep into the esoteric meaning of these interpretations, they're just gonna be groping in the dark. They're just gonna be lost in the dark and whatnot. But yeah, it's a pleasure to be with y'all, Dr. Bass. And yeah, sexuality and how it actually is simply supposed to lead us back into the oneness with the all, morality and how it's a fucking lie. Like, morality, you're telling me we live in a system that's being run by some of the most corrupt, um, immoral, uncaring motherfuckers, and yet they're living comfortably. And you motherfuckers who are based off of morality and whatnot, you're living like absolute shit. Like, morality in and of itself, Dr. Bass, is not what we think it is. Morality, what it is now, sexuality, morality, and I guess, yeah, like what Bobby Hemmett himself, Brother Panic, Dr. Phil Valentine, all those great brethren who left important messages for us, how essentially the underlying message that they simply repeat from the ancients themselves, which the ancients have left behind for us. Like, they didn't leave us hanging, the ancients didn't leave us hanging, about how we should simply get back to our godhood, plain and simple. We should get back to our godhood because being human, this is a cocoon phase. And like what Bobby Hemmett himself used as a really good analogy, a caterpillar does not go into a cocoon to come back out a caterpillar. That is just that is just so freaking oxymoronic, right? That is just so counterproductive to what the universe and reality itself is supposed to be based upon. Constant change, constant movement, constant evolution. You keep moving forward, you keep changing, you keep becoming something else. Today I could be a fireman. Tomorrow I could be a police officer. Tomorrow I can be a doctor. Tomorrow I can be a lawyer. Tomorrow I can be a priest. Tomorrow I could be a shaman. Tomorrow I could be a yogi, etc., etc. You know what I mean, Dr. Bass? We keep changing. And hell, why should I only be one thing when the universe itself is everything? Like, humans think that they're the best fucking thing ever, but if there weren't any plants around, or if there weren't any animals and whatnot, chances are that you motherfuckers would have as lacking and as pathetic and as literally undiversive of an experience that you could have in this physical realm, because a human being can only ever many animals that exist out there, like a hippopotamus, a lion, a gorilla, a tiger, etc., etc. Dr. Bass, you know better than me that a human could only defeat these animals by with their mind power. But in terms of physical strength, forget it. A lot of these animals blow them out of the water. You're not taking on a hippo. You're not taking on an elephant. You're not taking on a lion or a tiger. You're not taking on a pack of wolves. No, motherfucker. You're not taking them on physically. Forget it. They already got you beaten in that domain. But I guess this is why the ancients teach us that we should rise above the animal plane, because the animals, they exist in their own world, in their own universe, in their own consciousness. You have the potential to literally be far greater than that. But how do we see many people? And I have to say, as an individual experiencing life in what is the original body that was created to experience in this physical realm, Dr. Bass. I'm telling you, like a lot of niggas, Dr. Bass, like right here where I am in South America, yeah, I'm not seeing that much niggas. And I have to say, I'm not racist in that sense, but it is good to literally keep my distance from the lowly mentally dead people that I usually tend to be around back in SM because it Dr. Bass, being around such people, it's mentally draining. Just oh goodness gracious. Even Dr. Phil Valentine himself said, just like when you be going among these fucking crackers, like you be going among these so-called white people, these motherfuckers, or not even white people per se, just anybody of a lower vibration. The moment you go in their presence, Dr. Bass, you feel weak. You feel, you start to feel lethargic. Like, what the fuck? And I was feeling good. What's going on here? Like, this is why the ancients teach us, yo, do not throw pearls before swine. Do not throw them among dogs, lest the swine grind them in their teeth, lest the dogs take them and bring them to the dung heap. Like, forget it, Dr. Bass. The information that we share to begin with, we're not a child friendly channel. So, like, yeah, what are you doing allowing your children to watch this? Even if the children nowadays that are being born are very advanced souls and they're a lot more intelligent than people are giving them credit. Still, this is not for children. And I don't care who the fuck is watching this. I don't care whether you're so called black, whether you're so called white, whether you're so called Indian, so called Chinese, so called Japanese, whatever, so called Arab. This information is for anyone who's willing to move beyond humanity. I ain't speaking to no regular humans. I'm speaking to those who are literally willing to raise their consciousness up to another level. But enough of my rambling. Take it away, Dr. Bass.
Oh yeah, definitely I feel that because like a lot of things and a lot of people can just mentally drain your energy. So it's like you can be like so high vibrational and then all of a sudden someone like says something or tries to trigger you like because a lot of people try to trigger you or they try to poke your buttons. So you have to be consciously aware of people who trying to play you and stay like, like for example, you can be like, oh, my spiritual team is gonna handle it, so I don't have to give into it because at the end of the day, whatever you focus on grows. So if you keep focusing on that negative and people try to trigger you, of course that's gonna come in even more. So like you can just like brush it off and just let your spiritual team handle it. And then animals are more physical, but humans are more mental. So you can use your mental to kind of like interact with these animals. You see like the real life Tarzan or like the people who have like a good interaction with animals, they can interact with tigers, they can interact with all these masculine energies or feminine energies and still have a bond with them. You know what I'm saying?
Very
So,
good analogy, Doctor. Very good analogy. Tarzan, a very good analogy.
oh yeah, definitely like, but a lot of people, their mental is blocked, so their expansion of their minds is just limited. So at this point, a lot of people just have to unlock their minds so they can unlock what they really know. But it's all about unlocking your DNA and RNA. But a lot of people, their DNA and RNA got blocked because they got the you know what. So at this point, some people are just blocked from certain information. And then we can do so many things. We have so many talents and skills. It's all about putting in that work and practicing on what you're really passionate about. And then, yeah, it's all about that godhood and escaping the physical realm because at the end of the day, like, once you leave this physical body, like where are you gonna go next? It's like at this point, a lot of people aren't even talking about this type of stuff. Like they all only talk about, oh yeah, I'm doing this in the physical, I'm doing this in this lifetime and whatnot. They don't even realize what's gonna happen once they die. You know what I'm saying? Not a lot of people even really be thinking about this type of stuff. But yeah, that's besides the point. And then we can't go back because like a butterfly, for example, they don't go back into the cocoon. They just fly away and become a better butterfly. So as time moves on, we just have to become our best selves and choose our best selves. It's not really about, oh, I have to be this way or this be that, because at the end of the day, you are already your best self. So you just have to choose your best self. But yeah, that's about it.
Oh man, that's a good one there, Dr. Bass. Oh, you've definitely been doing a lot of self searching, a lot of deep diving. Yeah, big shout out to you, Dr. Bass. That's a good one. That's one I never even really thought of when you stop and think about it. The fact that you're thinking that way, you're thinking about becoming your best self, brothers and sisters, you are already your best self. As Dr. Bass himself perfectly put it, you just gotta choose. You want to go to higher vibrations, or you want to stay or even go lower into even shittier vibrations. And trust me, Dr. Bass, it seems that even among like lower vibrations, like depending on how low you can go, it doesn't seem to stop, Dr. Bass. It's just that bad. It's just that shitty. But something I was thinking about, right, Dr. Bass? When you look at in history, and getting back to what it is that we were talking about, because we're going to get into that. When I look at how these motherfuckers set up this so-called BC and AD era, you know what I mean? Like, bam, you got so-called 3000 BC, then you go down 2000 BC, 1000 BC, 500 something BC, and I think around 300 something. Alexander the Greek, the so-called Great, he takes over Kemet, but I think before him, the Persians were the ones who took over Kemet, because let's be real, at that point Kemet physically was no longer the great empire that it was for thousands of cycles. And Kemet in and of itself, while it was a great empire, you had many empires in ancient Kush and Nubia which were arguably greater, that because we've been around for so long, being the original humans in this world, a lot of the records simply were lost. Like, there are no records. Big shout out to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He had an interview with a so-called white guy. The guy asked him, for so how long has the black man been in the world? He rightfully answered, the Elijah Muhammad, we don't know, because we've been here for so damn long. And mind you, when Bobby Hemmett and Rod Hayes, shout out to them, when they talk about counterfeit spirits, the original counterfeit spirits that were going against the actual children of the primordial darkness and the original light, being us. Dr. Bass, these was originally niggas. Because think about it. The so-called white man and everybody else that isn't a nigger, that isn't a naga, that isn't one who hails from the primordial darkness, manifested in human form, being you and I as good examples. Dr. Bass, the original counterfeit spirits are motherfuckers who look like me and you. The so-called white man only came last week. He's just a fucking foot soldier who literally just came on the scene. So how is it that a bunch of counterfeit spirit motherfuckers who've been running things on the undesirable polarity, so-called negative polarity, while we're on the more desirable so-called positive polarity? How is it that even those who are in the so-called negative, how is it that they all of a sudden lost power? They never lost power. Rod Hayes and Bobby Hemmett already mentioned it. Shout out to them. These motherfuckers, they like the ones who really run things, they currently live in fucking Switzerland. Think about it. Why is Switzerland a fucking neutral country? What kind of a country lives in the middle of other countries that are clearly part of a particular group that is neutral? That doesn't make any fucking sense, unless there's some kind of a military strategy that's going on, to which a lot of people think, yeah, they're neutral, they don't have anything about it. No, these motherfuckers live over there. And they're niggas. They look like me and you in this physical realm, my brother. Counterfeit spirits, the original counterfeit spirits. This is exactly why the laws of men make no goddamn sense. Because shout out to Brother Panic, based off of the video that I shared in the last live we did. In this universe, there's only 7 laws that we should recognize, my brother. The 7 laws of Jehuti. Like, literally, those are the only 7 laws that matter. The law of vibration, the law of correspondence, the law of polarity, the law of rhythm, and you got three others that you could simply do the research and see for yourself. Those are the only seven. Oh, the law of cause and effect as well. Karma, as Bobby Hemmett himself explained, is nothing but a fucking cosmic joke. Because if karma really was fucking real, why the hell ain't these dumb motherfuckers who run in the system, why the hell haven't they already met their comeuppance? Why haven't they already fucking met their due reward? Because they are a bunch of scumbags. Why? It's because they have a good comprehension of universal law and they trick the motherfuckers who actually have the real power into creating the world that they see fit. Because think about it, Dr. Bass, it's only few of them and so many of us. Why is the world literally being run by a few cheesehead shit-ass motherfuckers? While the majority are much worse than fucking kindergartners, for fuck's sake. Like, it makes no damn sense. But going back to what it was I was mentioning earlier, Dr. Bass, every empire, shout out to Comedic Centered Spirituality, I think the channel's name is Reginald Kuakaru. Anybody could check out his channel, Comedic Centered Living. I think that's the name of his YouTube channel. He gives a lot of good ancient Egyptian based spiritual teachings, which we could still apply to the world today. Because unlike today's world where a lot of people are just religious, but they really don't have any spiritual, they don't exercise any spiritual power. Ancient Egypt as a good example, but also many of the ancient civilizations all across the world, which were all run by niggas because we were the only fucking people on the planet for what, millions of cycles, at least. Our spirituality was in our everyday life. Everything we did was simply so that we could get back to the spiritual realm. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. So, Dr. Bass, remember, Jesus is simply an anthropomorphic representation of the sun. They want to say BC, before Christ, and AD, Anno Domini, which is Latin for in the year of our Lord, or something like that. You could do the research. So essentially speaking, that tells me one of two things, or it tells me two things, period. One, we never got off of fucking Roman rule. Imperial Rome may have fell, but spiritually, this motherfucker's still a parasite. That's still fucking up a lot of people mentally, even though we are already transitioning into the age of Aquarius, in which information is spreading about like wildfire. Like wildfire. So there's no way you could hide the truth anymore. It's all coming to light, just like what even Paul himself said in the so-called good book. And two, that means to say that not only is it clear to me that time itself is an illusion, but these motherfuckers are literally making shit up when it comes to dates and time and whatnot, because we know Jesus never existed as an actual person. And whoever that they are supposed to base this Jesus character within the Bible, because even when you go into the synoptic gospels within the King James Bible, you literally get three different versions of Jesus where I swear, Dr. Bass, it comes off like three completely different individuals. So what the fuck? And Christians need to remember, your Bible was originally written in an ancient language that many people today don't even speak. So there definitely will be misinterpretations. There definitely will be mistranslations. There definitely will be errors. So why you don't trace back to the etymological root of many words within your own English language, for example? By the way, the English language, I'm not a fan of language in general, like for real, just like, because to begin with, when it comes to speech, we should be simply only saying something in order to manifest it right on the spot. But the fact that we're constantly talking and whatnot, it just makes no damn sense, Dr. Bass, because the power is in there's death and life in the power of the tongue. And it always says, be careful what it is. They always tell you, be careful what it is that you speak, because what you speak could often reflect on what it is that you think and what it is that you feel. So it all goes hand in hand. But when it comes to this whole BC and AD nonsense, it's clear to me that when you look at even Gerald Massey himself mentions in his books, Natural Genesis, as well, especially Natural Genesis Volume 1 and 2, where he speaks about the sun cycle and whatnot, which I think is every, 24,000 cycles or something like that. the sun and moon cycle. But even when you look on channels like NUAPU, NWPU, you got a lot of these good individuals, researchers who've done the information, who've done the work. You just got to recognize the truth and the facts, and literally the universe will confirm it through another source. Like Dr. Bass, this whole BC and AD thing is really just based off of going from one cosmic cycle transitioning into another cosmic cycle. Before, we were in a moon cycle, which the cracker himself was literally in charge. But now we're heading back into a sun cycle. Because even in SM right now, people are bawling, people are fucking screaming and wailing and crying. It's too hot, it's too hot. But did they even pay attention to what Sadhguru said about what the next 5 to 6 years or something like that is going to be major solar flares and whatnot? Dr. Bass, we've transitioned into an era right now where the cosmos is literally doing cleanup work. Mm-hmm. So even the cosmos is playing the role of the janitor, cleaning up our mess. So why the fuck can't we literally be more than just one thing? You know what I mean? But it's very interesting to me, right, Dr. Bass? I stop and think about it. I'm like, wait, Jesus never existed. We know that for sure. But BC, AD, oh, it has to do with the sun cycle. It has to do with the cycles of the cosmic celestial bodies. Now it makes sense, because you got to remember, the Catholic Church is nothing more but a dumbed down version of ancient Kemetic, ancient Egyptian spirituality. And Christianity, shout out to Dr. Joseph Ben Yochanan, as well as John Henrik Clarke and all those great researchers who paved the way for us. Dr. Ben specifically mentioned about how Christianity is the grandchild of ancient Egyptian spirituality. Just compare the two. Heck, even Bobby Hemmett himself said, when it comes to ancient mythology, mythology, which they don't teach in school for obvious reason, compare the Greek mythology with ancient Egyptian mythology. Compare Mexican mythology with, I don't know, ancient Japanese mythology. Compare ancient African mythology, like throughout the different nations and whatnot throughout Africa, with ancient Indian mythology. Oh, Hindu mythology. Oh, it goes deep. It goes deep, Dr. Bass. And guess what? All of this was us. When you read Drusilla Dungy Houston's book, Wonderful Ethiopians of the Ancient Kushite Empire, the entire ancient world was niggas, whether it be in India, whether it be in Japan or China, Africa, we already know. All throughout Asia, Europe was also niggas. And don't even get me started about North and South America, so-called. I'm just using modern terms so that you could comprehend the land masses that I'm talking about. Yeah, these was all niggas. But guess what? Bobby Hemmett himself said the problem that we have as fucking niggas is that we've become sectarians. Oh, nah, I'm a Christian. I'm better than those fucking Muslims over there. Nah, I'm a Muslim. I'm better than those fucking Christians over there. Nah, I'm a Jew. I'm better than those fucking so-called Egyptians over there. I'm an Egyptian. I'm better than them Hindus over there. Meanwhile, the cracker, who literally had no say in any of this, he comes in. Big shout out to Bobby Hemmett. He said, and it makes so much sense, Dr. Bass. Well, shit, all these niggas literally here just being sectarians and literally beefing with one another regarding whose spirituality is better and whatnot. But fuck it, I'm gonna go and study all of it so that I could see what it is that these niggas are talking about regarding this cosmos and spirituality and whatnot. Even though he does not have a good idea, the people who run the system, they may not actually have a good idea of the deep spiritual nature of the higher realms and the cosmos. He at least has an idea. He at least has some kind of comprehension. In other words, Dr. Bass, the enemy is not a fucking idiot. In fact, big shout out to Bobby Hemmett, and he's right about one thing, and it pains me to say it. I don't hate the cracker for doing what it is he's doing, because he's actually part of the divine plan. Because if you read Marcel Griot and Germaine Dieterlen's book, The Pale Fox, get that book, The Pale Fox. In that mythology, and we're going to get into it, in that mythology, it explains about how, once again, big shout out to Bobby Hemmett and Rod Hayes, the counterfeit spirit that came and literally set everything in an imbalance. Because you had the original Great Mother, the primordial darkness. And then you had the sun, which when you look at Osset, when you look at Mary and baby Jesus, that's literally nothing more than Osset and Heru Ta'urt, the great hippopotamus goddess, and Sut, the oldest god that we have on record so far. But remember, the British Museum and all these museums are hiding a lot of these documents. The Vatican, oh, don't even get me started about the Vatican. We've mentioned the Vatican many times already, Dr. Bass. Miles and miles of fucking libraries. Why aren't they fucking telling their own people in the church what is it that they got hidden in them libraries? Oh, wait, they're afraid that the people are literally going to see reality for what it is and that religion is nothing but a big fucking hoax just to keep people in this complete state of fear so that even when they give up their physical bodies, they gotta come back because, yes, ain't no higher realm gonna accept a fearful motherfucker. You're literally like a cancer to them. Like, come on. Like, even Dr. Mumbi and Bobby Hemmett mentioned about how still to this day, even on this plane, there are civilizations that we cannot see with the two eyes that are hidden among us simply because we have to open our spiritual eyes and operate on a higher vibration to see these civilizations right here among us right now, Dr. Bass. Even Rashad Jamal, shout out to that brother. He mentioned about how these ancient civilizations who were great, many of them simply went into hiding when they saw, because they tap into higher dimensions and frequencies, into which you could also see so-called future events and whatnot. Dr. Bass, it goes deep. It goes fucking deep. And I've already said a lot, but man, Dr. Bass, people aren't doing the research. People aren't literally doing the work. They're not putting in the work to literally see what it is that all these people have left behind for us. The ancients, they did not leave us hanging high and dry. They left mythologies for us. They left esoteric teachings for us. They left everything for us. Yes, the system is fucked up, but guess what? The system is falling. Just like in the original 1960s Planet of the Apes movie when the Statue of Liberty almost completely sunk. The so-called white man's empire is over. It's fucking over. The United States of America, it had its run. It had a very good run. And I would like to hear your take on it, Dr. Baz, based off of the few videos that I shared with you as well as everything that I've already rambled about so far. But the United States definitely had a good run. And even Nuwapu mentioned about how she is the great whore that every nation turns to. But considering that the so-called great whore, fun fact, even the word whore and prostitute, to show you how language is so fucked up, the word whore and prostitute never even used to mean something undesirable back then. A whore or prostitute simply mostly referred to the ancient priestesses of ancient spiritual systems who, based off of the ancient mystery schools and whatnot, especially when they would focus on sex as a means to for any individual, especially men, because women just have that sexual prowess over men. It's just plain and simple. A man can only go so far sexually, but a woman, once she really taps into that power, she's a sex goddess. She's literally a doorway to which you can experience death in its true form. And what is death? The destruction of the ego, the destruction of the physical world, and the destruction of the illusion, the Maya, which the Hindus talk about in their spirituality. This world is an illusion. It even shows you in the physical realm that there are people who cannot feel pain. The signals, they just don't, the brain cannot process it, whether for one way or another. And so they cannot feel pain and whatnot. But man, Dr. Bass, going back to America and whatnot, please, as I pass it back on to you, based off of everything that you could break down, it was a lot, my brother, but based off of everything you can break down, America, how she had her time, but now it's all going to shit. And we know all empires fall. Ancient Kemet, despite how long it lasted, let's be real, its spirituality, its spiritual influence still lives on, but let's be real, it's no longer the main imperial empire. But even America right now, as I pass it back on to you, Dr. Bass, America is no longer the great nation that it used to be. So yeah, let the people know what it is that's going on, Dr. Bass.
Oh yeah, I'll definitely get to the USA part later on, but I'm gonna start from like the beginning. I was like winding it down and stuff. But yeah, low vibrations are like so horrible and whatnot. But like for the BC and AC, we can look at it as like before cosmic cycle and then after cosmic cycle. But then like they call it like Christ, before Christ and after Christ. But at this point, Christ is fake because Jesus isn't real. So at this point, they're just teaching you lies at this point. And then many civilizations have been there before, so like they just trick so many people. So at this point, they don't have any power. So they need all power to create the world that they desire. So at this point, they just everything that they're creating or everything they so-called building is using people's power because they put people in a state of fear. They put people in a state of survival. So at this point, they're giving up their power to them because at the end of the day, we always are abundant. At the end of the day, we always have enough if you are with the universe. But a lot of people don't know that, so they just always be in that survival mode. And what is the survival mode? The wet, the the root chakra. So they're just operating on the fourth chakra. They are like 26
Yep,
other
the
chakras.
root chakra, the animal chakra, the animal realm. They want you to stay. And it's funny because they keep people on that constant survival mode based off of the system. And to show you, Dr. Bass, if you really stop and think about that, which you just thankfully mentioned, animals are living far better than people who are living in that root chakra because these people are stuck in a world that is so myopic, that is so limited, that is so small. Animals are out in nature enjoying themselves, literally fulfilling their duty, like literally living off of the codes that they were pre-coded with. But these people are living on levels that are far lower than animals, Dr. Bass. What kind of baffling nonsense is that?
Yeah, it's crazy because like animals over here living their best lives physically, but a lot of people physically, a lot of humans physically aren't living their best ways. So at this point, a lot of animals are just living way better than humans at this point. And then I can't they can't hide the truth anymore, so they just put the truth in plain sight or they try to hide it into some little secret message. So like they either call this sci-fi or science fiction, or they just put it in cartoons and all this anime and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it's all the truth at this point. And then the real language is really telepathy, and if you want to call another one, it's ASL, which is American Sign Language, which is really not even using your mouth to speak. You can use your hands. So that's why they come up with hand signs with different games, but they view it as, oh yeah, it's negative because it's like hand signs and whatever. But at the end of the day, it's really real communication. And then with the solar flares, like even like New York City, listen, if y'all in New York City, y'all better get about that joint sooner or later because by 2030, listen, it's about to be underwater. I'm just gonna be honest. And then we already know California is gonna go down. Because at this point, all the big cities where all these dark entities are staying at, just look at all these corporation and the main companies where are they located? They're they're located in these big cities. So of course, if these big corporations and these big companies have to go down with the system, of course the where they're located at has to go down as well. So at this point, all these big cities are going down with them. And then everything is happening for a reason. So you always have to, you can't be in that scared mindset or just be in fear all the time because you're always protected and it's for our path to enlightenment. So all of this is just happening for a reason. And then all these libraries and museums are hiding so much stuff. Like that's why like they don't show everything. That's why in these movies, right? When they go to museums, when they try to like steal something from a museum, they got it locked away in the basement. You gotta put in so many codes. You gotta do like the eye like facial recognition and whatnot. They put it all in the movie. So at this point, we already know behind closed doors, they're not showing y'all everything. And then,
Remember those two movies from Tom Hanks, Dr. Bass? Even though I didn't watch them in full detail, The Da Vinci Code and Angels and Demons, I think the name of the next movie is. Your boy Tom Hanks? Yeah, that motherfucker? Yeah, he starred in those two movies regarding the Vatican. and their secrets and whatnot. But another good movie to watch regarding the Vatican as well, and I mentioned it before, Stigmata with Patricia Arquette and Gabriel Byrne from 1999. Good good movie explaining about the overall message in that movie is about how the church literally makes itself the be all end all when even the Gnostic texts show you that the kingdom of God is within you. But even in in the King James Bible, Luke chapter 17, verse 21, Jesus literally tells you the kingdom of God is within you. So what the fuck are these religious people thinking about? You need to go to some place in order to make God happy or some shit. And you unhealthy like a motherfucker. You are unhappy like a motherfucker. Mentally, you're as lost as a motherfucker. Spiritually, you're as weak as a motherfucker. Dr. Bass, I pass it back on to you. Point made. Point made.
Yeah, definitely is because like these two eyes are invisible, but we have to see with our all-seeing eye because that's where you can see fairies. That's when you can see your angels. That's when you can see light beings. But a lot of people are just not mentally prepared to see all these things because at this point they'll go crazy if they look down the. And plus, it's Halloween season. Well, at the time of
Yeah, we're
this
going into
recording.
Halloween season.
Oh yeah. So like at this point in time of this recording is about to be Halloween, so we already know the split between spiritual and physical is gonna be lifted. But like we'll get to that a little bit after. But for the
Oh,
year,
and as we're on that point, Dr. Bass, people need to read Jeffrey Burton Russell's book, The Devil, where he explains. Big shout out to Bobby Hemmett and Enoch the Freestyle Prince. Horns simply represent power. And I'm going to read you a little passage here in Jeffrey Burton Russell's book, the very same book, The Devil. Yeah, so this is, I can't recall which chapter this is, but bam, let me just read a little passage there. Remember what it was you were going to say, Dr. Bass. Um, yeah, Shiva may take the form of both a bull and a lingam, which is a spiritual representation of the penis, which in and of itself represents virality, vitality, and life. Bulls, the most appropriate animal manifestation of the god, are branded with Shiva's sign, the trident. Vishnu and Krishna are also portrayed as bulls because remember, Shiva is the destroyer, Vishnu is the preserver, Brahma is the creator, and these are different aspects of the sun because even in the ancient world, read Hilton Hotema's book, Ancient Sun God. And there's another book by Hilton Hotema. Thank you for bringing it up to me when you were mentioning about dying, like when people die, specifically people who don't even know what it is that they should do spiritually, especially regarding death. It's so amazing, right, Dr. Bass? In the ancient world, people used to live to prepare to die. People lived in such a way they were not afraid to die. But because of a race of people, aka so-called white people, who literally just came around last week, for if you get a good comprehension of what it is I'm saying, these motherfuckers did not have because they have not been around for long enough. They don't comprehend what death is because spiritually, many of these motherfuckers are dead. They are what the Gnostic scriptures call homunculi, just purely physical beings that have well, I guess animals do have a comprehension of the spiritual world. It's just that they're more occupied with the physical. You know what I'm saying? But these people have no idea what the fuck the spiritual is. They are physical beings trying to have a spiritual experience. But shout out to Dr. Mumbi. We are spiritual beings having a temporary physical experience. You should be able to let go of this physical body at any given millisecond because we are not these physical bodies. But continuing with Jeffrey Burton Russell, Vishnu and Krishna are also portrayed as bulls, and Poseidon is associated with the horns of the bull and with the trident. Listen to this. Mentioning what you just mentioned, the Halloween demons we see today equipped with horns and quote unquote pitchforks have an ancient origin. Powdered horn is considered an aphrodisiac, which in and of itself, read Robert Anton Wilson's book, Sex, Drugs, and what's the name of that book? Sex, Drugs, and I have the name of it. The title is right here. Yes, Robert Anton Wilson, Sex, Drugs, and Magic, A Journey Beyond Limits. Sex and drugs can usually be hand in hand. Because usually a lot of people, when they take drugs, as long as they don't overdo it, of course, they take drugs specifically to get a high. And what kind of a high? A sexual high. And even in Thomas More's book, he dives into how sex in and of itself is supposed to be a gateway, a doorway that leads into the spiritual realms, just like what Bobby Hemmett been speaking about for many years now. Sex is nothing more than the combination of the masculine electric and the divine feminine magnetic, so that we can get back to the oneness. Because even when humans first manifested in this realm, we were a perfect combination, hermaphrodites, the combination of Hermes and Aphrodite, the masculine and the feminine, which Hilton Hotema in his book, Awaken the World Within, he explains how a man and woman separated today are as sore and incomplete as two halves of scissors. Like literally, my brother. You think it's a coincidence that they start these so-called gender wars, Dr. Bass? It's because they know if men and women had to come together based off of their own strengths and weaknesses, but when they come together, those weaknesses literally get taken care of. So that very well, this system in and of itself. Remember that Netflix show that you led put me on, Dr. Bass? Nobody's looking with the Angelus? Yeah, the Angelus, I think they're called. Yeah, they show that if every human had to experience an orgasm for the true gateway that leads back to the divine, that leads back to the source itself, all these churches, all these governments, institutions, and all this bullshit would have no reason to even exist. Straight up, straight up. I'm just dropping that knowledge today, Dr. Bass. I'm telling you, the true self is on a roll. True self is on a roll. True self is on a roll, Dr. Bass. Powdered horn is also considered an aphrodisiac, mentioning about how sex and drugs go hand in hand quite often. And a broken horn from which the procreative power may flow out is a cornucopia, a horn of plenty. The horns on stags and other wild animals signify a plentiful supply of game. You heard that? Game. Horns are also a sign of pure power, and as such are identified with the rays of the sun, as it's been in previous civilizations, as it's been in ancient civilizations. But Dr. Bass, I'm telling you, if you could remember what it was that you were about to say, people need to get out of that fear. That fear, Bobby Hemmett himself mentioned how there is a book explaining, especially with Kundalini work, Kundalini chakra work, like the divine serpent work. There are devices in the body that literally come on, that activate when you are threatened. And you notice something about the cracker. He is very covert. He always does things behind the scenes, in the shadow. He never really tells you what it is that he's doing. He's a covert intimidator motherfucker. Big shout out to sister Myra Ross, where she was giving the analogy of the story of Jack and the Beanstalk. But there was one particular interpretation of that story. Jim Henson's son, he produced it. I think it's a mini series. Remember back in 2007 when the Giants beat the Patriots, Dr. Bass? The giant is supposed to be representative of us niggas finally tapping back into our cosmic true self spiritual power, and the intimidator is supposed to be the cracker, which was the Patriots. The Patriots, they were the great intimidator. They came into the season undefeated as they reached the Super Bowl. The Giants themselves, taking back their true power, were not intimidated. They fucking beat the Patriots and handed them their only loss when it mattered the most on the grand fucking stage. And that's exactly the cracker right now. His system is fallen and he doesn't want to admit it. He doesn't want all of his sheep bots and zombies to fucking realize it. And Dr. Bass, take it back because, woo, at least through this vessel, spirit is on a roll.
Yeah, we killing it over here so far, you know what I'm saying? Because like at this point, like with sports, like we can see like divine. It's like everything is like divinely happens. So like even if it's like rigged or anything like that, it's happening for a reason. And then at this point, it's like you gotta let go of your physical body because you can leave that body anytime because it can transmute, and everything is energy. So even if you look at your chair or your desk or anything, it's all energy. It can like a lot of people don't realize once you leave this physical body, right? When you go into, if you graduate, right, you can transmute your energy to anything that you want, but it's all about your mental state and what you view yourself, right? So if you only see yourself as a physical being, if you graduate, then it'll you most likely you would choose to be a physical being in that other realm. But if you expand your mind and view yourself as like a superhero or anything like that, then once you graduate, you can be like, oh, I'm a superhero, so now you can have flying powers. Now you can do all type of fun stuff. You get what I'm saying? So it's all about your mental and what you see yourself being as beyond this physical realm. And then for the Halloween part, it's it's like the split between the physical and spiritual. But a lot of religion, they make a lot of religious people hate Halloween because they know the divine connection between it. So that's why they just try to scale people and everything like that. But it's really, we all know like the real truth behind it. And then for the drugs part, like a lot of people should be using like ayahuasca or DMT for that spiritual oneness or that sexual high. But if you really tapped in, then you won't even need that type of stuff. But for the US, yeah, the USA is going down, but at this point, every government is going down because they try to do like that one world government and everything like that. So at this point, if they're doing that one world government, but we all know the governments are going down, so at this point, all the governments are gonna go down, and they're already talking about the government shutdown that's coming, in October. Then you got the blackout that's gonna happen at the time of this recording. So at this point, you know what I'm saying, you can't trust all these government officials and what they got going on because at the end of the day, they all just gonna collapse with the system. And then for the prostitutes, they know their worth and they know how to manipulate people. So at this point, we have to learn from these people instead of bringing them down because they obviously know what they got going on because a lot of people are making a lot of currency by doing this type of stuff. Not saying it's a good thing to make or it's a good image or nothing like that, but they know how to use that type of power in manipulating other people. But a lot of women can really do anything or manifest anything during their cycle period. So if you're really tapped in, you can really be like, do some rituals or do some spells to really manifest certain things if you're on that cycle period as well.
Oh, and remember, yes, I'm about to get controversial, and I don't give a damn. It was even proven in the ancient world, with women in particular, if they were to literally jill off, as in literally play with themselves, masturbate, if women masturbate and they really tap into that power, it doesn't even have to be when they get their period. They could literally manifest what the fuck they want. And even Bobby Hemmett himself proved it in his lives over and over again with both cycles and with masturbation. So when you stop and think about it, Dr. Bass, you should, like James Bond, for example, he making it look like as if he's some kind of a sex god. James Bond, you never gonna be fucking better than a woman who really taps into her sexual power because sex in and of itself is literally any woman's power once she really taps into it. Because of course we know the saying practice makes perfect. A woman's power is in her sexuality. A woman's power is knowing that she could tap into that power and manifest whatever it is she desires. There are so many books. One book in particular I could recommend is what's her name? Barbara what's her name again? I need to her name Barbara Her name is Barbara. She has a lot of Barbara G. Walker. Mm-hmm. She has two books in particular I would recommend: The Woman's Dictionary of Symbols and Sacred Objects and The Woman's Encyclopedia of Myths and Secrets. Barbara G. Walker. That's two books: The Woman's Dictionary of Symbols and Sacred Objects, and from the same lady, The Woman's Encyclopedia of Myths and Secrets. But she has, I think, several other books after that. Dr. Bass, it's about time that women themselves literally put aside their petty differences and that men themselves stop acting like fucking animals. Because there's this one lady here and another book that I recommend, Elizabeth Hayek's Sexual. Wait, what's the name of that book? Let me check the name of that book. I'm telling you, I'm sharing with people so that they could do their own research, Dr. Bass. And that's the point of it. I don't want you to be coming back to us. Do your own fucking research. Sexual Energy and Yoga by Elizabeth Hayek. Haich. And another good book I recommend. Shout out to Bobby Hemmett for this one. The Soul of Sex by Thomas More. I'm telling you, women in particular, I want y'all to get back into your true power, not for your own petty agenda and whatnot, not to be an asshole and you're literally not contributing to the higher realms that are supposed to be manifested in this realm, as even the Jesus character himself said. You're supposed to be literally raising up yourself, first of all. You're supposed to be raising up your fellow woman, and you're supposed to be raising up the men as well, so that they could tap into their power, so that they could literally do the work, so that we all can eventually come together to literally take this fucking system down. But actually, we shouldn't even take it down because the system in and of itself is collapsing. It's literally destroying itself with the whole government lockdowns and whatnot, Dr. Bass. Dr. Bass, they're scrambling. We should be rejoicing. And with all these natural disasters and whatnot that are taking place, Dr. Bass, the system is fucking falling. We should be fucking rejoicing. We should be celebrating. Fuck this system. We should be chanting for this motherfucker to fall even faster. Because for too long, I've recognized a system that is narcissistic, that is pathetic, that is evil, that is parasitic, that is vampiric, and so many icks and isms and all that stupid shit. But Dr. Bass, we finally reached the season where just like the Giants defeated the Patriots, they may reach the big stage, but that is exactly where they're going to be humiliated, embarrassed, and fall their hardest. Take it back. Take it away, Dr. Bass.
Yeah, that was a good analogy right there. The Giants and the Patriots. That was smooth. That was smooth. But
Dr. Bass, and twice the Giants defeated the Patriots too. So that just goes to show you the great intimidator. At the end of the day, that's all he can do, intimidate. But his bark is greater than his bite. He doesn't have it where it counts. And that's exactly why we gotta tap back into our true power, so that we could literally make this motherfucker fall even faster, because it's a parasite. It's a vampire, Dr. Bass. What the fuck do we want to do with people who are attached to this system? They show you in the Matrix movies. They showed you in Dark World. They showed you in Kevin Smith's movie. What's the name of that movie? It had Ben Affleck and Ben. It has stars Ben Affleck and Matt Damon. Shit, what's the name of that movie? I can't remember. But they both are angels. They both are angels in that movie. Jason Lee himself is also in that movie. I can't recall the name of that movie, but it's a Kevin Smith directed movie. They also show you in again Stigmata, about exposing the church, thinking that it's the be all end all when the kingdom of God is within you, as Jesus himself said. I tell you, they be hiding the truth straight up in these movies, cartoons, TV shows, the whole 9 yards, Dr. Bass. But that's just their way of telling you the truth without directly telling you the truth. You know what I mean, Dr. Bass.
oh yeah, and then that movie that you was talking about is called Dogma. Dogma, I think it's.
Dogma.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Bass. Dogma, yes, with Ben Affleck and Matt Damon. I'm telling you, Dr. Bass, they hide the truth in plain sight. What you call God is literally anything. Humans be thinking that they're the be all end all, when in reality, even in ancient civilizations, the Greek mythologies, the Babylonian mythologies, and even in Hindu mythology with the Asuras, There were us. There was a group of gods who ruled, who are so primordial, who are so old, who ruled the universe before these newer, younger gods came in. But we're going to get to that. In fact, Dr. Bass, let's just get to the first video I shared with Bobby Hemmett regarding morality and whatnot, because humans need to fucking realize, and I had already mentioned it last time with Brother Panic's video where he was talking about what is karma. Karma is nothing more than cause and effect. That's all it is. If you literally ignited or initiated a cause, you better be prepared to experience the effect of said cause, because it's 7 universal principles. Forget the laws of men. Men are just trying to play God, and many of these motherfuckers are so separated from God, if you know what I mean, Dr. Baz. They're so separated from source that they have an idea of what source is, but they really don't know what source is. And sadly, that counts for a lot of fucking religious people because, again, like the analogy that you made, Dr. Bass, when these motherfuckers, okay, say these Christians die and they go to heaven, what the fuck is heaven's, what is heaven's motivation? What is heaven's schedule? What the fuck do they do over there? They're just singing praises and hymns and songs to this God who really ain't shit, who really just full of shit. Like, what the fuck, man? Is that's what the fuck they're gonna do for all eternity? And big shout out to Reginald Crossley. Once again, get that book, The Voodoo Quantum Leap. When you get into quantum mechanics, you get into quantum physics. That's what these motherfuckers teaching. They're teaching these adults fairy tales and illusions. You could imagine, we live in a universe that is an illusion, Dr. Bass. That is a wallpaper that's literally, you're starting to see the shreds and the tears in it. It's a fucking illusion. And these motherfuckers are giving these people even more illusions. It's an illusion within a fucking illusion. Goodness gracious, talk about getting intoxicated.
Yeah,
talk about getting fucking intoxicated.
That's just like, that's like, you like anyone who's listening right now, like ask any religious people what they think they're gonna be doing in heaven and or hell, and then you just watch their body language, watch how they respond, because you can tell they're gonna second guess themselves because they don't even know what they're gonna be doing. So at this point, you just like
Dr. Bass, we're laughing, right? But like what Mike Maloney said, shout out to Mike Maloney. If you don't want to cry, it's better to just laugh. But this is a matter you would just stop and cry because you are an individual, an entity who's filled with love. You are filled with love because you come from the cosmos. The cosmos, what is the number one thing that a woman operates in when she really taps into her true power? Love. That great cosmic universal love. But it actually starts with that understanding. And because of that understanding, you don't hate a motherfucker. You pity a motherfucker for what they are. I pity the cracker for what he is. But I pity most niggas even more for the stupid motherfuckers that they are, because they don't want to tap back into their true power. I don't hate the cracker and all these other motherfuckers. As a matter of fact, many of them are just hylics. They're just physical entities trying to have a spiritual experience who are operating in the domain that they operate the best. You know what I mean, Dr. Bass? The physical realm. It's no wonder why us spiritual beings having a temporary human experience, our physical experience mostly always tends to be shit. Because this is not our realm. This is not our home. This is simply equivalent to a bus, a plane, or a train ride. The journey might be comfortable, like, you know how they set up the chairs and yeah, you could ask for a drink or something to eat and whatnot. But ultimately, it's just the ride that is taking us to our destination. This realm is just the ride to which ultimately we have a final destination to go to. And the more I stop and think about it, remember the Final Destination movies, Dr. Bass? Where motherfuckers were just dying fucked up deaths and whatnot? When I stop and think about it, big shout out to Bobby Hemmett. This is a revelation that just came to me right now in this podcast. The fucking angel of death in the Final Destination movies is Asar. Osiris, Asar, the Egyptian lord of the underworld. Boom, bang. I literally just fucking decoded it for y'all. Osiris was literally freeing the souls from their fucking physical bodies. You have 3 movies in particular with Christopher Walken, The Prophecy, Prophecy 1, 2, and 3. In Prophecy 3, the angel of death literally came to try to release the souls from their misery of physical existence. That was supposed to be symbolic and representative of Asar himself. All 3 prophecy movies, and we're going to get to it. They show you that those angels up there, that these fucking Christians and these religious people all throughout the spiritual world, be it in Hinduism, be it in China spirituality, Japan spirituality, in Buddhism, Hinduism, Buddhism, Judaism, Islam, Christianity. Remember, most of these are religions that literally came around no more than 2,000 cycles ago. These gods only love you because you give them power. The moment you stop worshiping them, they have no power. Big shout out to General Sarah Seti. God is a genie in a fucking lamp. The moment you let him out, he's gonna trick you and trap your monkey ass in that same fucking lamp. And it's so weird to me, right, Dr. Bass? These very same gods, particularly Yahweh, the Christian God. Again, read in any mythology, you will see there was a group of ancient primordial gods who ruled before the gods that these motherfuckers worship today. Yahweh himself says he's the God of the living, not the God of the dead. So wait, Asar was the god of the Lord of the underworld. He died, but he eventually became Lord of the underworld. And we know death is the number one thing that no living thing, be it mineral, be it plant, be it animal, and especially human, could ever escape. Every fucking thing in this realm has an appointment with death. So if this motherfucker, he's the God of the living and not the God of the dead. We've mentioned this time after time after time, Dr. Bass. Why are you worshiping a God who don't give a fuck about you the moment you're on your deathbed? Dr. Bass, man, spirit is literally using this vessel, but I give it back to you, Dr. Bass. Motherfuckers don't think. Motherfuckers, they just don't do the research. They don't do the work. They don't put in the work.
Yeah, definitely. It's like even with that in the Very Odd Parents, Timmy Turner was dealing with that genie, and then all of a sudden the genie put Timmy Turner in the lamp too. So they just be showing it in cartoons and whatnot, but no one really talks about it because it seems like it's not a big deal. But it's really, once you see these type of things with your first eye, with your all-seeing eye, then you can make that connection to your full, like, make that connection to what's really going on in this world. But at this point, we all gotta love unconditionally and send out peace and positivity, because like you are that within yourself. So those who put out that undesirable negative energy are negative internally. So all these people just placing their own insecurities and problems in the outer world because that's who they are internally. So at this point, like, who cares what people think, do, or act, because it's their own problems. But we gotta put these younger gods in place because we're the ones who really won this type of stuff. They think they have power, but they really don't have power. And then for the sexual magic, you gotta use that energy to create, so you can create anything with that Kundalini energy once it rises up. But a lot of people don't really know that type of information, but we have to wise everyone up and just like uplift of everyone, because at this point a lot of people not have doesn't have that system, or doesn't have people who lift them up and whatnot. So you always have to lift every being that you come across up. And then we
And
should
Dr.
be.
Bass, while you're when you're on that while you're on that same topic right there of sexual magic, 2 books that I recommend people read: Sexual Alchemy, Magical Intercourse with Spirits by Donald Tyson. And then you have another guy. What is the name of that book? No, I'm looking for it. I'm looking for it. Looking for it. Sexual magic. Wait, I'm looking for it. Just just give me a little while. I'm looking for it, Dr. Bass. His name is Donald Michael Craig, if I'm not mistaken. Donald Michael Craig. Sexual what? Yeah, Modern Sex Magic. So two books. Sexual Alchemy by Donald Tyson and Modern Sex Magic by Donald Michael Craig. Yeah, these are just two other books, and I had already mentioned several other books before regarding sex magic. So it's all literally out there. The information is out there, Dr. Bass. People just got to put in the work.
Yeah, a lot of people just have to put in that work just to research these type of things and put in that those hours of just like diving deep into different things because a lot of people think, oh, spirituality is just, oh yeah, meditating for like 15 minutes on just like, oh yeah, crystals and all this other stuff, but it's like and manifestation and stuff. But like at the end of the day, you have to meet those people who are well versed in spirituality, who knows the in-depth details with spirituality, and then you can see the difference of like, oh yeah, this is just like the new wave, or this is a person who's really in-depth and fully involved of this spirituality type of stuff. So yeah, that's the difference. And then at the end of the day, we should be rejoicing and celebrating with the collapse of the system and all these natural disasters. It's definitely a beautiful thing to watch. At the yeah.
Hey, Dr. Bass, I'm telling you, that last part right there, I've mentioned it with you time after time, and I'm never gonna stop mentioning it until the day we actually fucking see it live. This is a movie that's better than any fucking movie that they ever put out. And you got a lot of good movies out there, especially throughout the 80s and 90s, where they be hiding the truth in plain sight, showing us that they even showed us that they knew some of them, at least the ones who were willing to admit. Because, you know, a narcissist will never want to admit anything, Dr. Bass. But you have a few, I guess, there just came a point where probably they got tired. They got tired of, because I won't lie to you, there were some so-called white people throughout the many cycles who did legitimately want to do good. But guess what? They ended up killing them too, Dr. Bass. And we've mentioned time after time. Napoleon, he was a so-called white man. He killed millions of so-called white people. Adolf Hitler, even though the situation among or surrounding him was a situation which they allowed it to happen so that the fake nation of Israel, as it existed, Israel, Osset, Isis, Ra, the Egyptian sun god, or a manifestation of the Egyptian sun god, and El, which, if I'm not mistaken, was a Babylonian name for God itself, Israel. And it was niggas who literally came up with this. Again, we were the only people for millions of cycles in this fucking world. We knew that this was based off of the initiatory processes or processes of the ancient mystery schools. Because remember, it's only when you become a master or an advanced high level student, then you would start to grasp the message that the ancients have left for us. The universe is mind, the universe is mental, the universe is the all is mind, the universe is mental. It's even in the book The Kabbalion. Get that book, The Kabbalion. And another good book to get, because a lot of people have struggled with the so-called past and the future. Eckhart Tolle's The Power, Practicing the Power of Now. I can't stop mentioning those two books because they're just so good. Forget the past. Even you shared with me a time, Dr. Bash. Big shout out to you on that. If the past comes calling, don't answer, because it never has anything new to say. And forget the future. There is no such thing as a future. They always want to fuck you up in the now. They always want to tell you about, oh, the children are the future. The children are the future? Those little drooling idiots? Dr. Bass, listen, the children that are being born today are, like I said, are far more brilliant than people are willing to give them credit. If a woman thinks that a man is going to stay with her because of children, she's got another thing coming. And besides, the children themselves, many of them that are being born don't even really need a fucked up adult in their lives. Heck, you could leave them out in the wild, as young and innocent as they are with wild animals. I guarantee you, 10, 15 years down the line, like what Bobby Hemmett said, because when Bobby Hemmett said it, I'm like, really? It sounds insane though. But the more you stop and think about it, I remember young Pharaoh mentioned about how a cobra, yes, a cobra, a venomous snake, as lethal as it is, would protect a baby that was literally just born. The animals know what a threat is. If you notice, animals will only ever attack motherfuckers who almost always serve as a threat, who are a threat. And think about this. The so-called white man and many of these other non-nigger entities or human entities, whatever you want to call them, many of them have high concentration of animal DNA. Motherfuckers don't want to talk about how there was a lot of genetic engineering taking place back in the ancient times. Oh, but no, nah, they don't want to mention that. It's in fact, when it comes to these so-called white people, whenever it comes to their origins, it's like they always beat around the bush. It's like they always like to make a U-turn. You know what I mean, Dr. Bass? Is one thing that they never want to talk about. But it's not really only them because they were the last group of genetically engineered humans to come on the fucking planet anyway. Because it was already proven by Norman Bergrun, a guy who used to work at NASA and whatnot. He said he literally witnessed on Saturn's rings a bunch of really tall, nigger looking aliens. So what the fuck does that tell you? Niggas are anywhere you go in this universe. But it makes sense because the original essence of the universe is primordial darkness. The so-called black woman, the melanated woman, she is the universe manifested in female human form. And so is the melanated man. Everywhere you go, this realm, Earth, so-called Tiamat, whatever you want to call her, is the only realm where you're going to find all these other different humans. You're not going to find them nowhere else you go. Everywhere you go in this universe is fucking niggas. So what the fuck does that tell you? I'm not making this up. You can do the research and see for yourself. In the ancient world, when they be talking about, oh, gods, when you look at gods like Krishna, the manifestation of Vishnu, and you look at Kali, who's a manifestation of Durga originally before she became her own thing. These are manifestations of the primordial darkness. And these are our gods anyway, because these gods, it was never to say that they were real people. They're not real people. They're just anthropomorphic symbologies representing the alchemical and cosmic processes and powers that all dwell within us. When the ancients say we are the microcosm of the macrocosm, that is literally even what Hilton Hotema says throughout his books as a so-called white man. So what the fuck? Remember Jason Ironheart, Babylon 5, Dr. Bass? When his mental powers became so powerful that he could not maintain his physical body anymore? Remember? Even Babylon 5, a great fucking sci-fi show from the 1990s, be hiding the truth in plain sight. Dr. Bass, I'm telling you, people need to do the fucking research. People need to put in the work. And yeah, I pass it back on to you, bro.
Oh yeah, because like at this point, you're not gonna see a lot of people, all these like people you interact with on like beyond this physical realm. So like you know how like a lot of people say like these entities can't go beyond the physical realm or they can't go to these universal places because they'll blocked off. So at this point, they'll just blocked off. And then a lot of people do have animal DNA and RNA, but they don't want to tell y'all like, oh yeah, my DNA is GMO and whatnot because they don't want to downplay themselves. But I be seeing a lot of people don't really practice the power of now because like for example they be like walking right but they be listening to music at the same time so mentally you're focused on the music more than the walking so it's like at this point you're really not even doing practicing the power now but
Man, Dr. Bass, all I gotta say is anybody, yes, including the so-called white man and all these other humans, even they can elevate to higher levels once they give up their physical bodies. Probably not to our levels because some of us, because I have to mention when it comes to melanated beings, because remember going back to what it was, Bobby Hemmett and Rod Hayes had already showed us the original counterfeit spirits are niggas. So not all niggas have your best interest at heart. I want to get that plain and clear across for everyone to comprehend Because among every fucking group of humans, you've got those that you will get along with, and you got those who want to see nothing more than your destruction. So anybody could literally look to do the work and raise up to higher levels. Rashad Jamal himself spoke about it. Shout out to that brother. But are people willing to put in the work? Because it's not just about meditation, like you say. It's not just about manifestation, like you say, although that would be good, but it's still not enough. Because even Dr. Doom in Marvel Comics, he literally became the most powerful being in one particular storyline. And in the end, what did he say? It was all beneath him. Because this universe is an illusion, Dr. Bass. And don't even get me started about morality. Morality in the ancient world, when they say something was right and just, it means it reached a point just like a fruit where it became ripe. The situation has reached the point where it is good to perform the necessary action. There is no such thing as good and evil, literally speaking. All of that is just subjective, because what could be good to me is literally evil for a motherfucker, another motherfucker. And what could be evil to me is literally heaven on earth for another motherfucker. But Brother Panic himself mentioned it in his lectures as well. And you know what, Dr. Bass? It's time to go to the two videos that I just shared with you. The first one, Bobby is explaining how the universe, yes, as illusionary as it is, because even the Kabbalion taught you not to ignore the universe like it doesn't exist, but you need to comprehend the relativity of it. Because remember, we ourselves are not the source itself. We are aspects of the source, literally having our own individual experience. The collective experience in and of itself, this is why, especially at this time, because if many cycles ago, Bobby was saying about at this time, it's not good to be in groups. How much less is it? How much less good is it to be in groups now, Dr. Bass? I'm telling you, it's not the ideal situation to be in groups right now, period. Because it may start off with good intentions, but eventually it becomes corrupt. Because corrupt, vampiric, narcissistic, parasitic motherfuckers will come out of nowhere and fuck it up. But Dr. Bass, yeah, the first video with Bobby Hemmett, what is it? Yeah, the universe is only for those who know how to take it. So people need to comprehend morals do not exist. That was just a set of fucking stupid rules put upon you so that the people who came up with that stupid shit could live their best lives while you live even lower and worse than the animals, as we already mentioned. Dr. Bass, take it away.
Morality is an illusion. There's no such thing as morality. That's socialization of what you've been taught. You know, just like some motherfucker actually think that God is looking down, like some person in Jigsaw, Alabama, is thinking that God is looking down on them going, what you doing? Why would you even want a goddamn God to look down on an ant in Jigsaw, Alabama, worrying about what the fuck you doing? It's such a, we never get out of catechism. We never get out of that childlike breeding into this religion to even think. How asinine, why would you even want a God to look down on you in your insignificant life? You know what I'm saying? Or whether you drank some wine on Sunday. It's stupid and child shit. But if they can keep you at the child level, they can keep your mind shut down on the child level. There is no such thing as moralism. We should have learned about the white boy. That white boy keeps you in your ass every day. And we the original people, and guess what? His children live well. And nothing never happens to them. Because you don't understand. The universe is only for those motherfuckers who know how to damn take this shit. Hello. Freedom is only what you can get away with. You understand what I'm saying? Freedom is what you can have. So moralism is bullshit.
Go see Catch Me If You Can.
Oh
yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Ain't it the shit?
Yeah.
This like
Good movie.
showed in the damn movie that if you got a damn willing mind, and if he was a white boy, this motherfucker was in the 11th grade.
Right.
And that motherfucker bought him a pilot outfit. And that motherfucker went around the world. At 1 year, that motherfucker was up to what? How many million?
4.
Huh? 4 million? I mean, in scams. No, 6 million.
Yeah.
And that motherfucker was making payroll checks by taking towing airplanes and cutting the damn pan off and gluing. And guess what? It's a true story. Oh, it's a family. No, that's a true story. That's some cold-blooded shit. That crap.
Based on a true story.
When they caught him, he was in France printing his own payroll checks. Printing his own payroll check. They go to show you that his reality is what you can get away with. And that cracker was getting away with everything. That cracker, man, he bought a James Bond car, a James Bond suit. Right. You see what I'm saying? It's about like that Joe Millionaire shit. All the women trying to marry a motherfucker who ain't got nothing. You know what I'm saying? They can only run the show one time. Yeah. You know, because everybody gonna go for the okey doke second time. But I'm trying to, you got to see Catch Me If You Can. With Leonardo DiCaprio, produced by Steven Spielberg and Tom Hanks. Man, that shit was cold-blooded. That's the one I got to see that again. But this cracker here, boy, he was just pimping white people. And they was just letting him go on because at that time, he just had, they love pilots. So that motherfucker got him a pilot outfit on the thrift store. And was walking in and got him on the plane and couldn't fly rough or down. Was dead in the pilot cockpit. I know he would have shit if they say take over the plane. But homeboy was rolling, boy. And by that time, he went to other scams. And when he got through, he was printing down checks. Payroll checks, millions. But they go to show you how white people are. What did they do? They hired that motherfucker to work for the goddamn CIA. The FBI. They hired that crap. Now, your niggas on lockdown and preachers coming all up in there. You a bad boy. This is wrong shit. This cracker here was so good, they hired that motherfucker to work for the damn FBI. He was so cold. Because they couldn't catch him up a damn. They couldn't catch him up a damn. That shit was bad. You gotta say, catch me if you can. I gotta see that shit again.
Dr. Bass, like, the video was so short, simple, and to the point. The essence of the message is so easy to grasp. Like, and like what Bobby said near the end there, see, because it's those so-called white people, because it's those pale-skinned people, because it was them, they decided, yeah, his talents was so phenomenal, they allowed him to work for the CIA. But if it was a fucking nigga, bro, they would have called the voodoo man. They would have called the fucking pastor. They would have called the fucking preacher. They would have called your fucking 6th grade teacher. They would have called your mama. They would have called every fucking body who ain't important because of just how bad and immoral your actions were. Bitch, fuck you. I literally did what I had to do because I came to a comprehension that this universe, as Bobby said, is only for those who know how to fucking take it. Robert Anton Wilson literally wrote several books, such as Prometheus Rising. There's another one, Prometheus Rising, Quantum Psychology. Write them down. Robert Anton Wilson, Prometheus Rising. Heck, throw Ishtar Rising while you're in it as well, because then again, you could download or get as much Robert Anton Wilson books as possible, because this was an individual who was tapped in to a secret society who knew a lot about what was going on in the world and whatnot, and especially on the spiritual side of things. Ishtar Rising, Prometheus Rising, reality is what you can get away with. Yep, Bobby Hemmett spoke about it as well. Reality is what you can get away with, which is in regards to this very same video we watched, and Quantum Psychology. Dr. Bass, I'm telling you, our willpower and our desire to literally achieve the things that will literally help us to become greater individuals is the only way we're going to literally conquer this fucking world. But either way, let the people know what it is, Dr. Bass, because that was a very simple one. And it doesn't only count to say, like, yeah, like how you and I are physically melanated and whatnot, that we're only speaking about most particularly those who look like us. This counts for anybody. The universe is only for those who know how to just get up and take it. Take it away, Dr. Bass.
Yeah, it's like you just have to like put, like in the video, he was like portraying it like as a pilot, and then it's pretty much just changing your identity. So once you change your identity, then people will start to believe in your new identity. You know what I'm saying? So that's why for like those who just like get like say if you had hair but then shave it all off, or like if you change up your style, and it can be like the simplest changes that you make, but it will literally change your mindset and it will change your identity and people will view you in a different light as well. So you can't really be in these like bad groups, but it's all about building those soul tribes with those white people. But it's all about perspective and seeing people for who they are, because we can't plant the seed and enjoy the fruit right then and there. We have to build it over time.
Man, that's a badass movie right there for real by Dr. Bass. And I find it to be interesting. They released that movie. Then again, in the movie itself, they did reach a point where it was Christmas season, especially toward the end. But it was released in Christmas season of 2002. And I'm like, what an absolutely interesting movie to release around that period. But then again, if you go back all the way to 1973, the original Exorcist movie was released on fucking December 26th. So these motherfuckers showing you that this so-called Christmas season of love and whatnot, that don't mean shit, because they literally put out whatever the fuck they want to during that season, Dr. Bass. And guess what? They continue to make lots and lots of currency, because both The Exorcist and Catch Me If You Can are really good movies in their own respective nature, based off what it is that they're portraying, what it is that they're trying to show. But I could tell you one thing for sure, Dr. Bass, especially with The Exorcist, where it was talking about where the spirit that was possessing the little girl, where it kept heckling people. It kept like just like coming down on them, telling them to literally fuck her while she had her period. And that literally led me back to Penelope Shuttle and Peter Redgrove's book, The Wise Wound. If you really stop and think about it, women are far more phenomenal than patriarchy and a lot of motherfuckers who just don't want to give them credit really want to admit, Dr. Bass. Women are the only creatures who are able to bleed without injuring themselves. Like, what the that is just baffling when you stop and think about it. And they have the mechanisms in order to make it work. Because again, with the cycles, with their menstruation cycles, and when they tap into and I'm told, even when you read the book, many women tend to have strong sexual urges during their period, but because Christianity and all these fucked up childish religions literally make it look like as if it's such a terrible thing for a woman to have her period, when her body is literally having it as a cleansing period, so that she could literally also tap into more sensitive, higher, deeper spiritual mechanisms within her own nature. I mean, for fuck's sake, it was even said that women back then used to literally use their period blood to start fucking hurricanes, Dr. Bass. Jeez. Like, even Foster eBay, I'll never forget this. Foster eBay mentioned, because a woman is mostly magnetic, and you know the magnetism of the universe, while the electricity is literally the extra power. In other words, a man is a modified woman who only exists to ensure that the woman and her species of human doesn't go completely extinct. But then again, if you remember Hermes and Aphrodite, when they come together, they are hermaphrodite. They are literally a perfect combination of both the electric masculine and the magnetic feminine. Then you would know that it's a combining, once again, the union that we were talking about. However, because you could see the split, people need to work on that union in particular, because think about it. How is it that when I said earlier, Andre van Lisbeth, write it down. Andre van Lisbeth's book, Tantra, The Cult of the Divine Feminine. He literally explains about how sexuality is actually a woman's power. And you want to know how that is facts, Dr. Bass? Look no further than the animal kingdom. When a dog is on heat, or when a female cat is on heat, all the fucking male cats literally come out of nowhere and want to literally put it on her. And in the end, she still only chooses one of these motherfuckers to be the father. So you're telling me sexuality? So what man could possibly overtake a woman in sexuality unless he were to practice tantra? Like he really practiced controlling his ejaculation, because that's just a natural spasm that many men have, especially when they don't practice tantra to really hold back their ejaculation. And even then, Dr. Bass, a woman's power is her sexuality. That's her domain. And I respect that. That's your domain. I'm never going to fucking overtake you in that. See, in the ancient world, you never really had so-called gender wars because men knew what the fuck they had to do. Women knew what the fuck they had to do. Bobby Hemmett mentioned it. Brother Panic mentioned it. Dr. Phil Valentine mentioned it. But you know, all of that is based off of humanity. And what's the number one thing that we should be doing, Dr. Bass? Overcome humanity. And that's exactly what Bobby Hemmett's going to be describing based off of who we were, well, who we've always been, how far we've fallen, and the necessary actions, but the mindset that we should reach in order to take the necessary actions to not just get back to where we were, but to go even further than that, Dr. Bass. Because I find it to be quite interesting. Modern religions are so human focused, but when you look in ancient spirituality, no matter where you go, in ancient Kemet, in Greece, in Rome, in India, in China, in Japan, and even in the Americas, which we call them today, you had a lot of animal-headed deities and a lot of monster-headed deities and whatnot, which when you really stop and think about it, it's actually a lot more brilliant than they're willing to give it credit. So how did things become so fucking humanized? Once again, we know that humans are really the ones that are fucking shit up. But then again, it was already prophesied that even the earth itself would be destroyed. I'm talking about the physical earth, because the earth itself, in its true spiritual nature, if you go back and read any ancient scripture, you will see that it always existed. The Greek mythology show you that. The Babylonian mythology show you that. Heck, even various African mythologies, and even many different Asian mythologies, be it Hinduism or I guess even Buddhism. Y'all should be getting books based off mythologies, but two books I do recommend. David Adam Leeming's two books, The World of Myth and Mythology, The Voyage of the Hero. David Adam Leeming's books, The World of Myth, #1, and Mythology, The Voyage of the Hero. Because I am told that in certain colleges or universities is when you get higher. If you really stick around with those universities and you go higher, then they teach you mythology. I'm like, wait a minute, but they don't even fucking teach mythology in primary school. Yeah, that's because the system was only created to fucking enslave you and make you a damn domesticated, trained animal. Like, that's literally what the system is, Dr. Bass. But again, as we've mentioned time after time, whenever we come together, Dr. Bass, it was clear to the ancients that humanity is the level that we should move beyond. It was never about being human. It's about moving beyond humanity. Take it away, Dr. Bass.
Yeah, the only thing about school is really like the grade levels, as like in the spiritual, it's like you keep leveling up and you keep going to the next grade levels. So if they're teaching like mythology in the upper grades, it's kind of like spiritual. Like you won't get your spiritual gifts if you haven't reached like a level. So it's kind of like that. But like this physical earth has reached its limits, and now we're entering the new earth. So you can either go down with the old earth or rise above with the new earth. And then women are way more sexual than men than how it's perceived. They think, oh yeah, men is just so like sexual and everything like that. But really, women are the most sexual creatures. But women knows how to control it with discipline. But a lot of men lack discipline, so they'll go out and lose it over time and time again. And then for these spiritual esoteric movies, you can see like it's really be coming out in like the Christmas seasons and everything like that. And it just shows like Christmas is just like not the real good holiday. It's all really about Halloween, to be honest. But a lot of people use deception and but like if you keep believing and knowing something for yourself, then it will happen. Like once you keep telling yourself a lie, it will become true. So like at this point, you just have to work on that.
Mm-hmm. I couldn't have said it better myself, Dr. Bass. And you know what's interesting, Dr. Bass? When you look really, when it comes to these holidays that these dumb motherfuckers make people celebrate, the only two holidays that really matter are Halloween, like you said, and spring, which is the true new year. Because remember, gods like in mythology, Asar and Persephone in Greek mythology, gods who so-called died but literally rose back up, who were resurrected. Spring is literally the resurrection of who? The sun. Get Hilton Hotema's book, Ancient Sun God. And he has several books where he explains about how the sun, but in that book, get that book. Or you could get as many Hilton Hotema books as possible, but he has another book. We do not die. There is no such thing as death. Death is an illusion. This physical realm is an illusion. It's Maya, like the Hindus call it. When you talk about priestesses, to show you how powerful women have always been, but patriarchy was just the necessary, how can I say? It was the necessary evil to come in to make not just women, but all individuals, masculine and feminine, realize that, yo, this system really is garbage, right? I could really just the fact that they have mountains and mountains of libraries that they're not sharing what information that these scrolls and books and papyruses have should literally make you question everything about this society. The Matrix movies show you that this society is nothing more than a fucking lie. It's just a hoax. It's just a really bad TV show. I don't know why people subscribe to this system for. It's absolute dog shit. It's bullshit. The Matrix movie shows you that. In so many fucking movies, they show you that. Heck, you have one movie from, I can't remember, 2014? The Giver? Yeah, in that movie, that's another good movie. That's another good movie I recommend people watch. The Giver. I think from 2014. In that movie, there's this one particular gentleman who's given this young man memories of how the world used to be based off of polarity. Desirable positive and undesirable negative, as many people would call it, but basically desirable and undesirable. So in there he explains, he keeps sharing these memories with this young man, but they were all living in a society where that is supposedly like perfect and whatnot. So reach a point, yeah, that same young man who was receiving information from the titular giver himself, he could not take it anymore. He couldn't take it anymore. And so there was this one particular baby, I believe it was his younger brother, because everybody was split off like in tribes and whatnot. But that's the movie to watch. The Giver, yeah, he had to escape with that baby out of that society and into the world itself, because he realized that there was just so much more to life than what that society was telling him. That is literally the case with this fucking society, Dr. Bass. And while you're just getting the video ready about how essentially yeah, how we were always these great beings and that we should look to not just get back to but literally rise above humanity, yeah, Dr. Bass, it's about time that we literally yeah, we should get back to who it is that we truly are, realize what it is that we are, and realize how far we've fallen. Once you could literally question all of this, then you're already on the right path to redemption. And ain't no savior that's gonna come from the skies or anything like that to come save you, because it's more than obvious that's not going to happen. Only you can save your own fucking self. Plain and simple. Any last words before we start the video, Dr. Bass?
Yeah, like how you put it, like why subscribe to this system if we already know it's toxic, it's poisonous and everything like that. But like a lot of people keep choosing poison because they have that mindset of just keep choosing negative outcomes and undesirable situations for themselves, because it gets them like in the state of just like constantly self-doubt, and it's like a lot of people feel weird when they think highly of themselves. It's because of all the conditions and all the programs and whatnot. So at this point we gotta switch things up because spring equinox and everything like that. But we're gonna get to this video right now.
Definitely. And it's a doozy too. Bobby shares a lot in this one. So yeah, really grasp the essence of the message and enjoy, everyone.
Was the great mother, and that was called the primal worlds. Primal worlds. They were around for billions and billions and billions of years. Tiamat, in the essence of Tiamat, which is us, ruled for billions of years. At the time, we got old, and we had a group of offspring and some children with some newer energy. As a result, the newer energy was not quite formed. It didn't get old enough and mature enough to retake the world or to succeed us, the primal energies. So, because they didn't, their cycle of the new world was not old enough to succeed us. It caused a problem because they wanted to break free. As a result, because the old world was very old and tired, this new world, when it did break free, it went to war with the old world. It's almost like you chilling and you get out, you 18, but you ain't an adult yet. But you old enough to whip your motherfucking grandmama ass. And you beat down your grandmama, kick her ass. Because she's old. You see? You get where I'm coming from? These new deities, which is our children, whipped our ass and defeated the great mother. Okay? As a result, the great mother, which is Tiamat, was defeated by Marduk. They said, listen, these particular young ones started using the great mother in them as slaves, basically. Had them working for them and all kind of shit. The great mother in them is just old energy that's got to go to sleep to get up enough damn strength to come back and kick ass. Okay? You get it? They said, hey, man, we old and tired any damn way. We can't do the task that you want us to do. Can you please cut us some slack? They said, okay. They took the blood of Tiamat or Ma'at or Newt and made the race of human beings out of that blood. So we become a race, a physical race that can do the task of menial hard physical labor, while our true essence, the blood of Tiamat, which is melanin, which is the real entity, can rest. We become slaves of our goddamn children. Okay? is grown tired. That's why your weather fucking up. Meanwhile, just as long as this earth or this particular universe, sector of the universe has been in existence, y'all getting this? Yeah. Meanwhile, while this particular one, it was new, is now old, has been in existence, the old has now regenerated itself. And the old is inside of us. And now we got to do these motherfuckers called the gods. You see that nigga going, it's all in the mythology. See, the problem we got here is this. They tell you that mythology is some stories of primitive people. So you grow up with a certain phobia or a certain disrespect for mythology, thinking that it can't be more advanced than science or religion, which mythology is the most advanced stuff on the planet because it puts the shit back together. That's why in Kemet, the myth is more stronger. So I'm trying to tell my mom about Isis and Osiris, but my mom was an educated woman. She went to college. She said, no, that's mythology. I said, goddamn Jesus, David was mythology before they changed the shit into a fucking religious system and tried to historicalize that which was not historicalized. David, Jacob, Solomon, and Abraham is three different aspects of the same entity. Abraham, Ab, which means hidden. Ra, which means son, and Ham, which means black. It means the hidden black son. Saul, which means son. Ammon, which means hidden. Solomon means the hidden black son. The hidden black son is Osiris. Jacob, Jack, which means black. Ab, which means hidden, means the black son of the hidden son. David, which is the star, which is the offspring of light coming from darkness, is hard as a Heru. These are three aspects taken on the same entity, taking on different transformations. Period. Here come the damn Hebrews getting kicked out of the mystery system. They're wandering around and say, shit, we gotta historicalize ourselves. We gotta build a state. We gotta build a state. You understand? So we gotta take the mythology and turn it into history. There's an article called Sublime Myth Make Grotesque History. So they take Abraham, make him the father, they take the different aspects of the same deity and make it the generation of Abraham, Solomon, the son of this and all this, and they make a historical thing out of that that used to be mythological. You getting this? Now, let's go into the Greek area and we're going to go into the satanic thing. Because hell is the place that we need to be going. Turn this motherfucker around. Okay? See, you know all the other shit. You got to know the shit. See, knowledge is, you're supposed to study shit. See, we got knowledge wrong. See, the ego works against us. When we first got into the Afro thing, all the shit, it was on. Because we were studying shit that we...
So I do wish that everyone watching this podcast and live that they really grasp what it is Bobby's saying, because he's breaking it down in such a way that even a freaking 5-year-old can comprehend it. But then again, 5-year-olds, they're already living in spiritual bliss for the most part, assuming that society hasn't already corrupted their innocent, pure, and amazing minds. But yeah, that last part there where Bobby said hell is where we should be going, it is very important to note that in several books they even explain, but not even in several books, most particularly like in Jeffrey Burton Russell's book The Devil, where he explains, oh, Kersey Graves has 2 books. Again, write them down. Kersey Graves has 2 books, if I'm not mistaken. Wait, what's the name of the book? Kersey Graves. I have to check it out. I have to write it down, check it out, just so We're on the same page. Kersey Graves, the biography of Satan, and the world's 16 crucified saviors, or Christianity before Christ. In the biography of Satan, Kersey Graves explains, and really, if you stop and ask yourself, right, Dr. Bass, why is it that if God is supposed to be the all-powerful, the all-knowing, the all-present, why the fuck doesn't he just destroy Satan and done? Well, then again, if you were to go back to what Bobby Hemmett himself mentioned, but even Kelly E. Hayes mentions in her book, Holy Harlots. Yeah, Kelly Hayes. Again, I'm just fucking sharing books. Kelly Hayes, Holy Harlots. There's a chapter in that book where she mentions, if God is all good, then only Satan can defeat evil. I mean, it just makes sense. It just fucking makes sense. God is supposed to be all good, right? Well, I can't holler God if I need to get rid of evil then. If I need to get rid of evil, I need to holler Satan. Plain and simple. And Satan is nothing more than an aspect of the true, divine, primordial, dark nature of your own being. So when Christians be cussing Satan up in church, they're cussing their own damn selves. Fucking idiots. I'm sorry, Dr. Bass. It's just, yeah, you really stop and analyze all of this. They got motherfuckers dissing themselves up in these churches, man. Like, holy shit. Jeez, man. Jeez.
Wait, and
again, why doesn't God... Was that Dr. Bass?
Oh yeah, and then like when they be cussing out other people, they don't even realize they're just really cussing out themselves.
Dr. Bass, it is a fucking joke at this point, I'm telling you. But hey, Age of Aquarius, the truth is coming out. It's no longer in darkness. It's all coming to light so everybody can see. If you don't want to see, it's because you don't want to fucking see. If you don't see, it's because you don't want to fucking see. Plain and simple. And again, God, when you go back to Kersey Gray's book, The Biography of Satan, God and Satan, so-called, have existed since the beginning of time. Polarity. There's literally a picture of Heru with his falcon head, and Soot's head is literally right behind him. That explains a couple of things. But the few that I could think about is, first of all, Soot being the black, who is, again, when I mentioned earlier in this live, one of the oldest, if not the oldest deity that we have on record. On record. Because, again, many of our records were just lost. So there's a lot that we used to do back in the ancient world we simply do not know. But again, the Akashic records and whatnot are all within us. So the truth is all within us. The facts are all within us. So it is supposed to represent the melanin, the deepest subconscious part of the melanin. And even Philip Cooper in his book, The Magician, it's spelled Magician, but it's actually The Magician. Get that book? The Magician. Just in early in the book, he mentions how the subconscious mind is a powerhouse, because the conscious mind is supposed to analyze. The conscious mind is far more how can I say, masculine in that sense, but the subconscious mind is feminine and receptive. So essentially, once again, the female showing to have more power and influence over your life. Whatever garbage you allow to enter into your subconscious mind, that's eventually going to be your manifestation, your manifested reality, be it intentional or unintentional. So Soot represents Soot, because remember, Soot is in mythology the first son of the Great Mother. And once again, Soot being behind Heru's head is simply representative of polarity. Masculine, feminine, light, dark, hot, cold, up, down, left, right. Plain and simple. Opposites, like love, hate, or love and fear. But either way, it's all based off polarity. God could never destroy Satan for the mere simple fact that Satan is an integral part of Christianity as a religion, period. Take away Satan, you don't have Christianity. You just have this fucking God who is a piece of shit, who's an asshole, who's not a great individual to be around, and just, yeah, you literally have nothing but a silly cult of a bunch of childish, kindergarten, play school-minded buffoons, Dr. I'm sorry, Dr. Bass. No, Dr. Bass, I have to say it, Dr. Bass. Without Satan, you don't have Christianity. The bad guy, Jeffrey Darty, big shout out to Jeffrey Darty. Jeffrey Darty, he mentioned it in many of his past videos already. He used to be a minister. He was in Christianity longer before you and I even physically incarnated in our current bodies. And now he's out here exposing the truth of fucking Christianity for the fraud and the fucking scam that it really is. He be telling people. He even had lives with young Pharaoh before to show you. Jeffrey Darty literally trying to put people on about how Christianity is one religion you shouldn't be fucking with. Actually, you shouldn't be fucking with no religion, period. What you should be getting into is your spirituality through diving deep and getting back into who it is that you truly are as a spiritual being having a temporary human experience. Because even low vibrational beings who are manifested in these physical bodies, they're not going to be in those physical bodies forever. Even the fucking Bible itself says that this heaven and earth will pass away, but my word will not pass away. What is the word? The truth and the factual nature of the universe, that everything continually changes. Nothing rests, everything moves, everything vibrates. Going back to the 7 Hermetic principles, the universe continually evolves and grows. Why are motherfuckers stagnated with some God who literally said he doesn't fuck with you the moment you're on your deathbed? God could never destroy Satan because Satan is an integral part of God, is the most important part of God. Without Satan, God has no reason to even fucking exist. Period. It's all duality. It's all polarity. It's all about striking that balance. It's all balance. Anyway, Dr. Bass, I hope I've made the point clear. Hell is definitely where we should be getting to, because what I really meant to say was, the underworld was literally the one area where all ancient civilizations spoke about. Look, to show you, the underworld, even in Greek mythology, the underworld was where both the good and the bad used to go. So where the hell this heaven comes from, it really came in later mythologies and later spiritual systems and whatnot. Because remember, a lot of these spiritual systems across the many cycles, they start to degrade, they start to fall in quality. Because remember, one man's God is another man's devil. What the ancients used to hold as simple spiritual teachings, a later cult would come and say that's the devil. That is evil. One man's God is another man's devil. Never forget that. So hell is definitely where we should be getting to, because as Bobby had already mentioned, these newer entities, they even showed you in prophecy 1, 2, and 3. Those motherfuckers you be praying to up there, they don't give a shit about you. They don't care about you. Continually pray to them because they are the genies in the lamp. Eventually, they're gonna trap you in that same fucking lamp. Let's get back to the video, Dr. Bass.
Yeah, they over here falling like the US dollar at this joint. Not kidding. Bro.
Dr. Bass, I'm telling you, we just got to we gotta let spirit, we gotta let source literally give the people the truth as raw and uncensored as possible. Again, I don't care who's listening. I don't care whether you want to take it or not. I'm just here to make sure that you hear it and do with the information as you please. Let's continue, Dr. Bass.
We didn't know. Then we got all comfortable with the shit that we did know, and here come the splinter groups. I'm this kind of person. I'm Blackfoot Egyptian. I'm raw with the damn double disc Egyptian. I'm fucking damn Sunni Muslim. I'm this kind of Muslim. I'm this motherfucking Hebrew that wear the damn vest. I'm the other motherfucking Hebrew that fuck all the women with the hair. We chop all this shit up because we become comfortable in what we know and we don't go on. That's called sectarianism. Now this is always supposed to challenge. That's what you do know. That's the enigma. most things. See, like I say now, get this book. Mythology, the voyage of the hero. They got another one, the same person got out one, David Adams Leamy, which they took all the stuff from around the world and put it in one book. The other book is called, excuse me 1 minute, let me get the other name of the book. The other book is called, see the other book, The World of Myth. You want to get The World of Myth by the same guy, David Adams Leamy, Leeeming, and The World of Myth. Get both books.
Can you hold it a minute?
And get both books. Now, listen. Going to the Greek thing, let me go into divine Satan. Satan is a race of people. We are the satanic race. Oh, you said that was very wrong. Okay. But this is how you gotta do it. You're getting your ass kicked every day. You have to challenge your thought. Because obviously the God shit is getting your ass fucked up. Much time we done got praying to God. We should have been around in that bullshit. This is it. See? Now, this is the key what I'm talking about here. You got these other primal deities. They rule in the earth. They rule in the cosmos. A younger deities called the Olympian deities headed by Zeus. Later on called Jesus. Jesus is the fucking enemy. Get into this in a few minutes. Fuck him. He's not the son of God. He is this God that's been holding us down, this motherfucker. But they changed over. You gotta get into this. Okay. Because we can't go on candy coating things for people that come up in here and say, well, I'm new to this. This is my first time hearing this shit. Well, too goddamn late. We got motherfuckers been in this shit going on 10 years. See, 15 years. They gotta have some damn nourishment too. You know, y'all got some catching up to do. That's all. That's fucking. You got another. Let's go to other lecture. This is for the advanced crowd. We go into the year. And wondering about whether motherfuckers gonna get this shit or not. Some motherfuckers ain't gonna never get it. Now, let's deal with this. These chaos spirits, or the torturous spirits, called the Titans, was replaced by their children. Their children. They were replaced by their children. Let's read this. The classical Greek mythology needs to go back beyond the familiar pattern of Zeus and the Olympian gods. Zeus is the ruler of the heavens right now, whom they overthrew to their parents known as the Titans. The origins of the Titans are the giants, you call them the Nephilim, go so far back in time that we have a scenic background only in the myth of earth and sky. They were born of a primordial earth mother, Gaia, and fathered by Oneness, or Uranus, the heavenly deep father. Now, make a long story short, so we can tie this in. You got a group of people called the chaos deities, which is the Titans. The mother Gaia and Gaia, Chronos, and Uranus. You're going to read the mythology, get Greek myths by Robert Graves. Now, listen to this. They get tired, and Zeus and his group are younger.
To show you, Dr. Bass. Remember, I mentioned Prometheus earlier, and I don't think Bobby mentioned it yet, but he's about to mention it. Prometheus, there's a specific Greek mythology where Prometheus stole the power, the fire of the gods. The fire being what? An open pineal gland, an open first eye, a fully open first eye. The gods were not happy about this, so they took Prometheus, literally tied him to what I think was a large stone. They tied him to a large stone where a particular bird, I think vultures, would come and peck on his sides. So here you have a good example of a crucified savior of which even Kersey Graves mentions in his book. Kersey Graves mentioned in his book, The 16 Crucified Saviors Before Christ. Prometheus is one of those crucified saviors. He wanted humanity to move because Bobby Hemmett already mentioned the Titans were the gods who ruled before the current Olympian gods, the younger gods, because these younger gods did not reach the ripeness in order to take over the universe. What they did, they created their own little subsect of silly wonderland world of a universe within this universe. So technically, the way you could see it, the way you could simply see it, this universe that we're in is nothing more than the silly, botched playground of these younger deities that Bobby is talking about. Prometheus was one in the mythology. He's one of those beings who wanted us to elevate beyond the human level, but the gods did not agree with it, so they had to punish him for it, even in the mythology. So what the fuck does that tell you? Why are people worshiping these entities when even in the prophecy movies, prophecy 1, 2, and 3, they clearly show us that these fucking entities, even in Fight Club, Brad Pitt's character said, maybe God doesn't like you. Maybe God really doesn't care about you. In these movies, they be telling you straight up, the God that you worship, yes, especially for you niggas. For you niggas, y'all had ancient, advanced, very intricate, very deep spiritual systems. And you've fallen, many of you, especially in the West, have fallen to levels so low as thinking that there's some motherfucker out there who's gonna come to save you. Like, Dr. Bass, please give your own take on it as we get back to the video, because to show you, when it comes to levels, polarity is a real fucking thing. You can go as high as you can, but at the same time, the low levels, there doesn't seem to be a limit for how low you can fucking go, and it's scary.
Yeah, a lot of people just keep going lower and lower and lower. They haven't learned their lessons, so they haven't learned their cycle, so they just coming back down here until they reach that point of graduating and whatnot. But like with the vulture, just like the vulture in Spider-Man, you know what I'm saying? And then for like the playground of these younger gods, you gotta just decode that Bible because their God is childish, so it surrounds itself with childish people. And who are childish people? The yes people who always will say yes. So that's just like the religious people who don't stand up for themselves and say no. So at this point, you just have to like really decode people for who they truly are.
Like, they make Jim Carrey's character in the Yes Man look like a completely competent character. What the fuck? Like, jeez, man. And that's a very good analogy there with yeah, man. And Jim Carrey, you notice how Jim Carrey sometimes he literally be coming out with some esoteric factual truths and whatnot, bro. Jim Carrey, he knows his shit, he be starring in some weird roles, but he knows his shit. Jim Carrey knows his shit. He's definitely one of those few actors who know how to make a stupid gimmick work. He knows how to make a stupid gimmick work. Like, and with the analogy with the vulture, like, that is a good one. That is a fucking good one. The vulture is one of Spider-Man's classic villains, going way back to the character's origins. So that, by the way, I'm glad you mentioned Spider-Man and Vulture being an enemy of Spider-Man, of course. All these superheroes, Marvel, DC, and whatnot, you do know that these are the modern mythological characters, right, Dr. Bass? You probably knew that already. These characters, there's a reason why their publications have been going on for so long. Yeah. Like, literally, Dr. Bass, they are modern mythology. That's all they are. There's a reason why their stories seemingly never have an end. Because, yeah, they represent that deep spiritual, scientific, subconscious longing to get back to what it is that we truly are. Plain and simple. If you're in this world and you're not looking to become that which you were in the old universes, or even look to move beyond that, because remember, H.P. Lovecraft, when you look at those entities, those monstrous entities, Actually, it would make more sense if we start to look at humanity as an ugly fucking thing. You know what I'm saying, Dr. Baz? Because remember, in the 80s, I distinctly remember these old commercials from the 80s where they were selling monster toys. I don't know if you remember that, Dr. Baz, where they were selling monster toys like crazy for little children and whatnot. Like, yeah, monsters and this and that. I'm like, what's with this monster craze and whatnot? And in a way, I won't lie, it was kind of cool, but because especially when you look at beings like Cthulhu from H.P. Lovecraft, you look at Godzilla, these are such great, monstrous, powerful entities who don't give a shit about stuff like morals and humanity and all that shit. These are great godlike beings, Dr. Bass. Why would they care about what a bunch of fucking ants think about them? Like what Bobby was saying in that video with morality is nothing but a lie, and he was mentioning the movie Catch Me If You Can. It's all nonsense. Well, I don't want no fucking God. I don't want no fucking God looking down on me, thinking, or like telling me how many women I fucked, for example, or how much booze I drank, or how much pot I smoked, or anything like that. That's none of your fucking business. You're supposed to be creator of all existence, supposedly, right? But that just goes to show us that we're not dealing with the source of everything. We're not dealing with the source of all things. We're not dealing with the all. We're simply dealing with a subordinate entity, Dr. Bass. And I be telling Christians, you worship a God that is literally as human and flawed as you motherfuckers are. They want to tell you, no, God is not human and this and that, but he has human attributes. So motherfucker is probably just a magician who knows a few magic tricks or two. You know what I'm saying, Dr. Bass? Like, what the fuck? The answer's right there in your face. He's a subordinate deity. Accept him for what it is. Shouldn't you be moving past him because he said he only deals with the living? He doesn't fuck with the dead. That's not his domain. If he was at least an entity who could help you prepare for the world after this one, Dr. Bass, I get it. But like you said, he's a childish entity dealing with childish motherfuckers, or at the very least, he had to bring agents in, aka the so-called white man and all these other motherfuckers, to make sure that these motherfuckers stay in a childish state of mind so that they can perpetually stay in that wheel of samsara, which the Hindus call the wheel of life, where you constantly have to go through that birth, life, and death cycle over and over and over again. When are these motherfuckers gonna graduate? When the fucking universe finally ends? Jeez. Take it away, Dr. Bass.
They're just gonna keep repeating the same stuff over and over and over. But listen, it's still life, it's still story, and at the end of the day, I'm just glad we waking to this right now, because at this point, we trying to make this the last lifetime. That's all I gotta say.
That's definitely what it is, Dr. Bass, because yeah, we should be graduating. We should already be over this fucking realm. You should, like what Bobby Hemmett said, every day you wake up, you should hate fucking being here. You should despise being here. Why the fuck do I keep coming back here? I know I'm better than this fucking world. I know I'm better than this universe. This is a botched fucking universe. And it's very interesting because I would just like to really go back and look at what those primal worlds were like, because even Gerald Massey himself mentioned in his Natural Genesis, where the further you go into the primordial darkness, you find a lot of monstrous looking creatures and whatnot. But that's because the energy that they contain is so powerful that they may manifest that way, or at least the energy that they possess is so powerful that it manifests that way. So you motherfuckers who are so content with being human, it's literally nothing more than a cocoon stage. A caterpillar does not go into a cocoon to come back out a caterpillar. It literally, as you said, Dr. Baz, it literally busts out, becomes a butterfly, and it doesn't fuck with that cocoon anymore. It flies away. Fly like the wind, literally. Anyway, let's continue, Dr. Baz.
They go to war with the Titans and defeat the Titans. Then Zeus turns around and burns up the Titans and take the ashes of the Titans and make human beings out of it. So if human beings are the mothers and the fathers deities are underworld deities. And all Kemetic African deities are underworld deities. Osiris and his host of judges are in the underworld. They didn't say in the sky, they said in the underworld on earth. Now this is the key what you got to understand here. Got a $50 mythology book. They got this shit $50. That means that's some advanced shit. You have. You go buy a damn book, $50 mythology. You know it ain't no damn fairy tales. You see what I'm saying? Now listen. The name of the earth is called Gaia. That's what the name of the earth is in Greek. Or Gaia. In this $50 mythology book, it says in the beginning, before anything existed, Gaia existed. So the earth is the beginning of the heavens. The earth is also called Tartarus, which is the center of the earth, which later on in Christianity is called hell. And you understand what I'm saying here? Now listen to what I'm saying here. You gotta get this shit. Imagine with me. In the beginning of the universe, the primal world is called Tartarus. That's a part of the primal world. Later on, Tartarus is hurled down in the center of the earth, and in the Christian mythology, it's called hell. Hell is in the beginning. The Dogon said, in the beginning, before anything existed Sirius B. Sirius B is the dark burnt-off star. Now you can challenge me when shit, all you gotta do is study. That's a good part of life now. I ain't gonna leave y'all motherfucking monkey ass with no material. You ain't dealing with no goddamn Imam Esau and a bunch of motherfuckers come up in here and tell you, or Farrakhan, motherfuckers come up and tell you some shit and can't leave you with some shit to study. See? We got some real fucked up shit here now. This shit here sounds strange, but then again, we got the goddamn bibliography to back this bullshit up. You see what I'm saying? This is the part where Ben and Clark and them left off, which they were supposed to do. They gave me this is the other section of that shit. Which we supposed to keep on doing this shit. Scholarship is not just on John Henry Clark. Them is goddamn historians. But they laid the foundation. You're supposed to take a new motherfucker to go in and do it with the other mysteries. This is this shit here. But we get a scholarship and we put it to your ass. Okay? The leftover Titans. Now, give you a bit of history on this. You can get it in Alexander Hislop's book. The Titans, in the beginning, you had an ancient god in Kemet called Sut. Sut-Nubis, Sut-Nesi, or Sut, which means black one. Our word Sut, or smut, comes from this particular deity. The Sut also became Sutet as another ancient Egyptian, Babylonian, Mesopotamian entity, and Sutet becomes Melchizedek. Anytime you hear the word male in the beginning of something, that means black. So Melchizedek really means the melanin carriers, is basically a good explanation of it, which Melchizedek means. It's a combination of the melanated people. These Sut in Kemet, in later on in Mesopotamia, in Chaldea, you got what is called the Anunnaki, the Anpu, Anubis, Anunnaki. You get the word Sut-an, which means the black dog or the black opening or the black gateway. Sut-an in Mesopotamia, they also have what is called the SH sound, which is shut. The word shut gives way to an ancient word called shit. These primal worlds, which is left over, is the leftover pre-worlds of the existing world we have now. So the primal world becomes prime evil. The word evil has the word E in it, which means beginning. E-L. L means star or sun. It means the beginning star. So the word evil means the beginning star. You hear these words, prime evil? Where did that shit come from? Prime means beginning. In the beginning there was evil. We're going to get into this thing on what's going on, because we got to hear the other story, because we're going to break it down to the biblical story, and that's where you get the other side, because a lot of you not familiar with the, what is called classical, which is the Canaanite stuff. Now, the word Titan or Titan or Shetan or Satan or Setan or Shitan, which you get the word shit, means primal, leftover. The leftover part is, now let me explain this to you. Let me go back to this, because I don't want to lose you in scholarship. There was a primal world. We're going to do some summary. There's a primal world. The primal world gets old. The younger children comes along. They're stronger. They overtake the parents, turn the parents into human beings. You get this? But the human beings at that time, although they are physical human beings, the primal world or the primal cells still exist inside of us. The inside of us is known as the hidden. The hidden in ancient Kemet means Amen. The word Amen is a title word, means hidden. The word Amen in Greek becomes Amen in Greek becomes Daemon or Daemon, and the word Daemon in Christianity becomes demons. The demons is the leftover excrement from the primal world. Y'all getting this? The demon or the daemon in ancient Kemet, the word hidden God means Amen or Amen. This depends on the phonetics, you see. Amen, Amen. In Greek it becomes daemon or Damien. In Christianity, Damien becomes demon. Damien in Greek is Amen in Egypt or Amen, which means hidden self. You get this? Hidden self. The hidden self in Greek and in Kemet is called the genie. The genie later on in Islam becomes the jinn. The jinn. The genie means true genius. Daemon or demon means true genius. The word genius comes from the word genie, and the word jinn, all that's the same shit. Now, what we're saying here is this. The very essence of what we're supposed to be tapped into, the esoteric, which is religion, moralism, and organized religion, teaches you to give Christian thing before I go into this demonic realm and show you what all this shit is. I'll show you. I'm gonna bring it home. Let me go into this thing. Let's shift from the Greek, from the Samaritan to the Christian thing. The Christian thing is this. You got a subordinate deity. This subordinate deity, now I'm going to explain something to you. Now, show you where the true heaven is. Your oldest text on the earth is the Hermetic text. The Hermetic text came out of ancient Egypt or ancient Kemet. It is the Tahuti's text. With what we found out now, the ship was not even translated by the Greeks. The Egyptians or the Canaanites translated the ship from Greek, from Kemet into Greece, so that we could get this later on. See, listen. We think with a modern mind how these motherfuckers used to think. You got Zeus. Zeus is ruling things. Let's deal with some stuff here. You also have Lucifer. Now let's break this Lucifer thing down for you. Lucifer is understood as the light bearer of mankind. As a result of being given the name light by Lucifer. Now, continues to be reborn in every generation and every humanity of mankind, and will be able to take the measurement of egocentric power of the solar logos. In this way, Lucifer is the savior of mankind, and at least part of humanity. That who can comprehend this principle. Now, let me go on now. The Lucifer mythology is, in fact, older than the ignorant, misunderstood, wonderful distortion of Judeo-Christian tradition. He could have this, knowledge of what is called pre-Christian Barbello-Gnostics. This is where this thing is coming from. It's a spin-off from Coptic Egypt. Now, Lucifer is the embodiment and the enlightenment of reason, and there are none of the destructive slanders against him in the Christian tradition. Now, let's go to the origins of this particular Lucifer, particular part. The light bearer is called Greek Eros Phoros. It's referred to as a god. Perhaps the oldest version of the Lucifer myth is the Greek god Prometheus. Put this on the tape. Y'all all right? Which means he who has foreknowledge. Now you're going to get one of the complete versions of the Promethean myth in this book, Mythology, the Voyage of the Hero, David Adams Leaving. Okay, Prometheus. Now, the traditions differ in many details of Promethean mythology, but the essential is that Prometheus, wishing to help preserve mankind, some say created mankind, brought divine fire or higher consciousness and bestowed it upon man. This way man could become God too. This was the first enlightenment of humanity. Zeus, however, punished Prometheus, hurling him into the depth of torturers. There he was staked to a mountain as an image and purified crucifixion for 100 years. The point is that the creator God, Zeus, or the Judeo-Christian Jehovah, wants to keep humanity in subjugation and slavery to natural laws, which he has set up. But a rebel figure, Prometheus, elsewhere Lucifer, befriends man and brings him the means to become one of the gods, or back to the chaos beings. This is the fundamental understanding of the Luciferian science. Now, this is the point we're going to deal with. Now, the following Gnostic thought, the word serpent in Hebrew is netchex, which is the serpent thing, is the same thing. So basically what happened was this. If you study the Azazel mythology, Azazel is the same person, the chief leader of the gates of hell. After we were hurled down as human beings, we didn't have this particular light or this particular energy to be gods, or to be higher. What happened was, as Prometheus went to heaven and stole this light from Zeus and bestowed it upon man in a tube. That light is the Kundalini energy, where you see with the staff of Tahuti, or the chakra system.
want the racist man that chick.
Yeah, okay, and the chakra energy. Now, he stole this particular light and stole it of one man. Now, the entities that we're talking about that set up this particular set is just as closed off set to of the universe, only was able to create a replica of what the original primal worlds were. So a replica is something, it's a mock type of creation. It means, although it has the scenery and the different aspects based on, it might have a functional setup, but that setup is only in illusionary phenomena, which means that in actuality, it is not the complete real thing. It's something that is like a phase, or something that's like a hologram, basically, that in its infancy, it might have the structure, it might have the strength to actually hold up reality to a certain point, but as it goes on, it constantly breaks down. So basically, these entities that set up this universe, which is called Universe A, they set this universe up off the existing primal universe, which was real. The other universe went to sleep because, like everything, in order for something to function, it had to have an element of disorder in it. That is called the law of alchemy of opposites. Basically, the hell part in the Kabbalah is talking about the kingdom of the shells. The shells are the most gross and condensed leftover part of the universe that was here before this particular form of the universe was formed. That later on became a lower section or a lower level of degenerative form that you know of as the demonic form, the hell form, or what you call the dark realms. That realm is in actuality the planet Earth and the inhabitants on the planet Earth, because we are the original people of that particular era. But what we don't realize is, before we were humans, we were a pre-human type entity. Pre-human type entity. It's just that when we read and learn about this in religions and stuff, when you see monsters, demons, imps, dwarfs, and all types of figures that you get in something like a fantasy, which is still a fantasy world in some child's fantasy book now. In actuality, this is a physical representation or a symbolic representation of what we used to be as advanced deities. It only looks as gross material because this world is dialectically opposite from that world in which we came out of. So when in this world, based on us growing used to seeing ourselves as human beings, when we look into that particular primal path, it scares us because we're so oppositely cut away or oppositely cut away from the original form of what we used to be. You understand what I'm saying? It's like that primal face in the mirror. You get where I'm coming from here? Yes. This is new exploratory ground that has been, in the last 2,000 years, rehashed into this embodiment of evil. So what happened is our ancient people understood that there were much more to Earth than what we perceived it to be as everyday life on Earth. The true ancient people took and reserved a spot in their mythology and their history for that particular part of pre-human existence in which we were on an advanced level. After, and they reserved it, preserved it in the section of dragons, monsters, beasts, demons, and all of these type of things, which were literally hieroglyphic symbols for this pre-human activism. As time went on, the later day people, or not even just white people, but later day black people that was removed from their people for thousands of years, because we ruled for so long, until the later day people, by rehashing or trying to retranslate this mythology of the ancient people, got separated from what this particular portion of the text meant as far as our soul. So because them not understanding and lost the knowledge of it, they just say, well, that's just the evil stuff. And we will build that in the mythology as just being negative. You understand what I'm saying? Only because they forgot the knowledge of it. But that which they forgot the knowledge of it used to be their pre-existing self. You get this one coming from here? So then but even the word beast that you hear and that you're so scared about, what is the riddle of the beast? The true riddle of the Sphinx is the beast sits in the middle of the earth, called the Sphinx. That's the beast.
The lion?
The lion. That's the beast. And the man is on top. Beauty. No, the woman is on top. Excuse me. That's where you get your original story, Beauty and the Beast. So the beast, 666 in the Bible, is the Sphinx. The beast, 666 in the Bible, is also known as Leviathan. But Leviathan is an ancient form of the goddess Tiamat or Babylon, the Babylon or the Babylonian, which is the Sphinx. So Tiamat, Leviathan, is the Sphinx. Now there's one other enigma of the Sphinx. What is the Sphinx? The Sphinx is the ultimate symbol of the Christ. Horus on the horizon. Right? Horamachus. Right? So now how can one thing, the Sphinx, the beast that they're talking about is Satan. On the other hand, it's the Christ. You get it? So in actuality, we're talking about two forms of the same entity. The same entity. The Revelation text, first of all, is printed the way it is, but based on the people who acquired it, later on, ended up making it moralistic and trying to feed their little old stuff in about this particular dragon up under, and everything, because in religion, everything either got to be two things, good and evil. That's it. You don't have no religion. You see what I'm saying?
Man, Dr. Bass, you take it away, bro, because yeah, Bobby pretty much laid it all out. He laid it all out. And because I heard I was told several times, like reading in certain YouTube comment sections and yeah, mostly YouTube comment sections, but even Brother Panic mentioned it in a video I watched from him not too long ago, where yeah, it's really not necessary for Bobby to still be doing lectures, because the man has been doing lectures for he's been doing lectures before you and I even reincarnated back into these current physical bodies that we're in, my brother. So that should tell you how long Bobby was doing lectures, along with C. Freemanel and Dr. Phil Valentine and later Brother Panic and all of them. But suffice it to say, yeah, take it away, Dr. Baz. Bobby, just let the people break it down. Just break it all down from start, middle to end, brother, because Bobby just laid it all out.
Yeah, Bobby just laid it all out. He really was talking about like really all the deep depths of these underworld deities and how through religion and through the Bible they twist everything up. So everything that they be like deemed evil is what we should be like kind of like combining with, but the everything that they say is good is really we shouldn't be doing those type of things because everything is words or spells. So like whatever you say, whatever you put out, you have to be conscious of what it really means, like through the esoteric realm, because the like for example, like for people who say like good morning and all that other stuff, it's like they don't even realize like they really casting like spells on people and whatnot. So it's like you gotta really like watch what you say and just be conscious of the real meaning behind everything that you put out.
Yeah, man, Dr. Bass. What can I say? And going back to what it was that Bobby as well as others be saying, every damn thing, everything from sex to lust to magic to astrology to astronomy, every single fucking thing that the Bible tells us not to do, those are exactly the things we got to be doing. Those are exactly the things we should be doing, because these motherfuckers have made it clear to us that with every new religion, what used to be the standard of what we should achieve, later religions corrupt it into, oh, we should stay away from those things. You know what I mean, Dr. Bass? They
Yeah.
just corrupt it. Yeah, they just fucking corrupt it and tell us we should stay away from those things. But the people who discovered these spiritual facts and truths as to what our true nature is, like what Bobby said, this world is completely diametrically opposite to what it is that we are. So what if I'm actually some kind of a horned, anthropomorphic bat-looking entity? Hey, I'd rather appreciate that because I'm able to manifest my powers, be it super strength, laser vision, X-ray vision, walking through walls, flying, teleporting, levitation, telekinesis, the whole 9 yards. And I'm trapped in a fucking human body now? What kind of cockamamie, nonsensical, dumb fuck bullshit is that? But in any case, it's become clear to me, Dr. Bass, that even in the Bible, they clearly tell you, even in that stupid Bible, they tell you what the enemy meant for two things. What was originally good, they turned evil, and what is evil, they try to make it good. But again, there's another one where Joseph, the story where Joseph was uh where he was sold off to slavery, so-called, by his brothers, and then he worked up his way to become second in command next to the Pharaoh of Egypt. Joseph said, what you meant for evil to me, what you meant for evil to me ended up working in my favor. No matter what, even Bobby himself mentioned, everything has its rhythm. The universe has its rhythm. Reality has its rhythm. Reality has its polarity. It was necessary for us to be going through all this bullshit so that we could come out not as good as we were before, but better than we were before. So, as we're wrapping this up, Dr. Bass, please let the people know what it is that you got going on. And any sign of the previous lives being uploaded anytime soon once you got the chance, bro?
Oh yeah, for the other lives, they definitely coming out probably like mostly in the new year. And then for like for people who are like scared of their true forms, it's like if they were to see who they are or their past selves or even family members when they appear in their true forms, they're like it would shock people. And like what you are on the other side, you can pick any form you want. But like when they try to communicate with you down here, they'll appear as what you're most comfortable with or remember them being as. So for example, if you're like in if you feel like pulled talking to like your like say for instance your grandpa, right? In the other realm, your grandpa might be like, oh, I'm gonna choose when I was in my 20s, that was my peak. But when he wants to communicate with you, he might come down as like, as an older being because that's what you remember. Because like if you were to see your grandpa in his 20s, you won't remember that being. You don't even know that being as that, like being in his 20s. So that's like the correlation between it all, to be honest.
Man, that is a really good one, Dr. Bass. And it just makes so much sense. I could literally see the being who played the role of my grandfather in this realm. If I were to go into a trance or if I were to go to sleep, I go into the so-called dream realm, which is really more real than this world, and I were to see the actual form, the true nature, the true entity, the being that was my grandfather in this role, in this world, if I were to see him, I'd be like, wait, who are you? I don't even know you. I'm not like in that moment, because of my knowledge of the esoteric and the occult, I'm not afraid of the entity, but because the entity is so diametrically opposite to what my grandfather was, I wouldn't think it was my grandfather at all. But it's when it becomes clear to me through revelation and whatnot that that actually is my grandfather. I'm like, wow, grandpa, you are so different looking than when you were fucking human. It just makes sense. But Brother Panic himself mentioned about when you get rid of when when the time comes for you to leave this physical realm and you go back to your true nature, that's when everything starts flooding and rushing back to you. You're like, oh, so that's what it was. And that's the bullshit about this fucking world. You end up forgetting pretty much everything. And it only takes triggers, just like with mutants in the X-Men comics. It has to take traumatic experiences for their powers to manifest. It's only going to take traumatic experiences for your powers to manifest. But that's when I always appreciate movies that leave quotes. You want to know what quote always stuck with me, Dr. Bass? I don't know if you remember in Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2, where after Harry found out Peter was Spider-Man, and then he had a vision of his dad talking to him in the mirror, and his dad told him, yeah, you're weak. You were always weak, and you will always be weak until you learn to take control. Bro, that is the fucking truth, not just for me, but I see it for people around me. Motherfuckers are walking weak, absolutely pathetic, not tapping into their true power. You will always be weak until you learn to take control. Big shout out to Willem Dafoe on that one. That quote, even before cycles before my spiritual awakening, bro, because I always appreciated the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies. Well, mostly Spider-Man 1 and 2. Spider-Man 3, well, I don't need to we don't need to get into that one, right? We don't need to get into that one. We know that movie got problems. But even then, with the Venom symbiote is what? Melanin in one of its more purest forms. So Peter in that movie was literally only manifesting a true aspect of his nature. It's only because of the human aspect he had to ultimately get rid of it, just like in the comics. But in Marvel Comics right now, I kid you not, the Venom symbiote has been buffed up to a point where Eddie Brock, who is most associated with Venom, is literally a god now, bro. And there was even a point in the current storyline where Eddie Brock said, nah, this whole God thing, I'm not ready for it. Well, what about Spider-Man? And the entity that was speaking to Eddie Brock, explaining him the nature of his powers and whatnot and how he was evolving, said, you are not incorrect. Spider-Man was originally the individual who had to take over that role. But stuff just happened. He eventually got rid of the symbiote. And that's where you come in now. So, like what Dr. Mumbi said, and everything fits like connecting the dots. Everything fits like a puzzle. If you are given a task by the universe and you reject it, hey, that's okay. Someone else is going to take it over for you gladly. So, in conclusion, Dr. Bass, this was a long one, but a good one. We literally shared so much. Bobby himself shared so much that people should learn to do their own research. Don't follow us. Don't, like, literally, we don't need followers. We're not about followers, Dr. Bass. We're just about putting the truth out there, and people can make of it as they will. Any last words before we close this one off, Dr. Bass?
Oh yeah, especially like for like the weak-minded, like that doesn't matter like how it doesn't matter how big you are or how muscular they are. Like if they're weak-minded, anyone can control their minds, but we gotta go through darkness to really manifest, and that's like how it should be.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I'm telling you. Yeah, Dr. Bass, like it's about time people literally start taking control of their own lives. The system is collapsing. We see it clearly falling. Doesn't matter what the fuck they say, the system is falling. And like what Dr. Mum is, by the way, when it comes to earlier when the Bobby mentioned creatures like dragons, monsters, elves, dwarves, trolls, and whatnot, these are at least symbolic representations, or even the dinosaurs, which more and more is becoming clear to me that the dinosaurs simply did not exist. The dinosaurs are just a symbolic representation of the melanated man and woman's true power, which, if you look at Power Rangers especially, okay, maybe creatures like the saber-toothed tiger and the mammoth, the woolly mammoth, did exist. But we weren't talking about like those big lizards and whatnot. First of all, how maladapted are those big lizards that they literally existed and they just suddenly don't exist anymore? That doesn't make any fucking sense. You know what I'm saying, Dr. Bass? You think they would still be existing somewhere in this world. But then again, Antarctica is an ice wall. And remember those worlds that exist beyond the ice wall and whatnot. So who knows? Maybe the dinosaurs do exist, but because we're blocked off spiritually, we're not supposed to contaminate those other worlds and whatnot. Because Richard E. Byrd, I think his name was, he was the last individual to discover the worlds beyond, or at least a portion of the worlds beyond the poles before the so-called UN came. Those pieces of shit, they came together and they created the Antarctic Treaty, which is literally nothing more than just a treaty to block off access to the worlds beyond the pole, of which Enoch the Freestyle Prince, shout out to Enoch, he mentioned about how in the center of one of the poles, there's literally a portal, a gateway, just like the Mortal Kombat games. Again, they hide the truth in plain sight. A portal that could lead you out of this fucking realm. Like, it's all there for us to accept and see it for what it is, Dr. Baz. But motherfuckers, they want to still be riding with Jesus, who want to continue to keep their monkey ass in a fucking perpetual samsara reincarnation cycle. Like, honestly, at this point, we shouldn't care what others want to do with themselves. Again, we just share the information, do with it as you please. Any last words, Dr. Bass?
Oh, nah, you killed that one too. We still be speaking out here in these streets.
Yeah, I don't know. In with no script, I came in with no lines to rehearse, nothing. It just came out as natural as possible, Dr. Bass. And that's the best kind of fucking information. It comes from within, because we are the microcosm of the macrocosm. We actually don't need no books, or we don't need no preacher. We definitely don't need no teacher. We don't need any of that. Just imagine if we lived in a society where everybody grew up and had to do everything themselves. Like, just imagine those scenarios. Picture those fucking scenarios. Your mama gave birth to you, just like the fucking animals. Your mama gave birth to you. She probably only took care of you for maybe a week or two. And then the moment you grow big enough to take care of yourself, hey, you're on your own. Just imagine that, Dr. Bass. But clearly, with humans, that's not the case. And that's kind of fucked up in a way. Because if you grow up in the hands of some very religious, very, how can I say, mentally dead individuals, your awakening is going to be nothing short of a miracle. Because, yeah, for you to literally grow up among those motherfuckers and to still literally go through a spiritual awakening, that is a testimony in and of itself. Like, jeez. Any last words, Dr. Bass?
Yeah, we should definitely pat ourselves on the back for that one, because like at this point we just gotta set boundaries with these folks.
Yeah, it doesn't matter who they are. I don't care if it's your mama, your daddy, your uncle, your auntie, your sister, your brother. It doesn't matter. Those are the motherfuckers who are really gonna fuck you up the most anyway. Because think about it. It's weird how you could come across a stranger who could literally help set you more on the path of where you should be walking along your spiritual journey than the motherfuckers you literally grew up with. But then again, the way I see it, these motherfuckers were literally just the best choice that you could have reincarnated into, because all other choices were just shit, for lack of a better term. You know what I'm saying, Dr. Bass?
Yeah, it's
Like, there were no better options available. So,
it's like the best option.
yeah, go ahead, Dr. Bass.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, like this was the best. Yeah, it's like this was the best option. This was the best option I could have reincarnated into, but seriously, there were no better options. Dr. Bass, you are very much appreciated. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Hopefully those other lives, like New Year, around New Year time, you said, or something like that?
Oh yeah, it's still gonna come out. We good.
Well, I think that's more than 3 lives already, to be honest, Dr. I think that's a good bit of lives you got to upload when the time comes. But either way, thank you for the opportunity, Dr. Bass. Here's another one in the books, and may it be accessible to everybody so that they could definitely make with the information as they will.
Yeah, thank you for coming on and your time too, bro.
Thank you very much, Doctor.
I think you went out, but like, listen, follow the podcast. Make sure you like, share, or subscribe if you're new, and comment down below what's your favorite part. And make sure you go on Spotify and answer the question and answer. You get what I'm saying? I'll see y'all later in the next one. Peace.